Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 18.
What's your birth year? Your mic is like really messed up. Thank you for the handout. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think you're like covering it.
Yo, it's 2005.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yes, being gay is wrong.
Why?
Because there's only two genders and being gay. I don't know. I don't exactly agree. I think that people have their own choice and they can be gay if they want to. But I think that being gay, like, if I had a son, I think that being gay is wrong for him because I don't want to see my son, like, in a room with another guy. And just like I would think that I failed as a father if I had a gay son. You know what I
And
mean?
and why do you think you would have failed as a father?
Because as a father, you would teach your son to date the right gender, not a
What do you mean
male.
the right gender? How do you know that dating women is the right gender?
Because dating a woman is the normal way of life. Dating a man is different.
Wait, just because something's normal doesn't mean anything. If I have attraction towards like a woman that is like people might consider unattractive, right? Because it's not normal to find this person attractive, is it wrong?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, if I was talking to a woman that was like considered by society to be unattractive, it wouldn't be normal to find her attractive. So if I did, would that be wrong?
No.
Okay. Well, just just because something is normal doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
So then
I
why'd
don't
you just
know.
make that argument? Oh, he just left. No. Yeah. Okay. Starting off the live pretty strong here today. Everyone tap that screen. Let's try to get to 200 or 100,000 likes. I can't even think right now. Share the live. Let's try to get to 100 shares, everyone. Let me go to the next person again. If you disagree, send a guest request. Please only send a guest request if you disagree, all. Bro said fair enough. No, for real. Not for real. Let's go to the next person again. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We'll help get it out to more people, y'all. We just started up the live here recently. We're on the second account. We're gonna be back on the main within the next few days, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 18.
For sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yeah, I do.
Why so?
Because it stops like us evolving as a species. Well, yeah, I guess you could say.
What do you mean it stops us evolving as a species?
Like most gay people, like if you're truly gay, you're not gonna do that surrogate stuff. So like people that are gay and like don't do the
Wait,
surrogate stuff, like they're stopping evolution.
wait, so do you think it's immoral or wrong to be celibate?
To be celibate, yeah.
You do?
From a species perspective, yeah.
Do you think it's immoral or wrong for me to engage in intercourse with a woman who's infertile?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do? So
Yeah.
any type of sexual action that does not lead to reproduction is immoral under your view.
Uh, Without the intent of reproduction, yeah.
Okay. Is oral immoral?
Um, I mean, yeah, you could say that's immoral.
Is using condoms immoral? You muted, bro. He's muted, chat. I'm putting like a few $100 on troll. I put a few hundred on troll.
All right, my
I'm
bad. I
putting
got a
like
call.
he got a call. He got a call. He got a call. All right. Well, we'll just give it a second. Maybe he'll send a guest request back. I think he's a troll. What do y'all think, chat? Tap that screen, everyone. Let's try to get to 100,000 likes. By the way, everyone, we are on my second account. I got bananaed on the main. We're gonna be back in that like in here in like 5 days or so. Troll, troll. People are saying troll. Maybe he's serious. We'll see. Be a fair economist, Johan. What do you mean?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Wait, why do you think I'm a troll? What?
So you do you think using a condom is immoral?
From a species perspective, yeah.
What do you mean from a species perspective?
Like the whole point of our species is to continue and like diversify.
So gay people that engage in gay intercourse but reproduce, there's nothing wrong.
Uh, no, because they're still engaging in intercourse without the intent to reproduce with each other. Well, I mean, they can't reproduce with each other, but like if they do the surrogate stuff and just don't have intercourse with each other, yeah, I say that's fine.
Yeah, so any type of sexual action that does not lead to reproduction is immoral. So again, any use of contraception is immoral.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever used contraception in your life?
No.
No, never.
Yeah.
Are you religious?
Am I religious? I mean, I went to a Catholic school, like a
Are
yeah,
you
I went to a
currently
Catholic
Catholic?
school, but I'm low-key agnostic. Like, I don't really know.
Appreciate the good afternoon. Thank you so much. And you hold these standards? Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think any okay, so is this like a natural teleology point, right? Sort of like right, we're using it outside of the context of its natural purpose.
Wait, repeat that?
Are you running like a natural teleology sort of point where like you're like any use out of the natural purpose is wrong? Because like in the
Uh,
natural purpose in this scenario would be
in terms of
reproduction.
reproduction, yeah.
So not in terms of other things. You wouldn't accept the sort of purpose, the teleology and other standpoints, natural teleology.
Nah, because reproduction is basically what continues us as a species. So like,
Okay. Okay, but I mean, we can reproduce in some scenarios without reproducing in other. Don't you agree? Like
what do you mean?
if someone has produced 3 children, right, and they
Yeah.
want to have intercourse with their wife, right, that doesn't lead to reproduction. Is that immoral?
Wait, they have 3 kids and then what?
They already have 3 kids, and they want to
Yeah.
have intercourse with their wife, right? And they both got, let's say the man got a vasectomy and the woman got a hysterectomy, right? In that scenario, they can't reproduce. Is it immoral for them to engage in intercourse?
Yes. I think vasectomies and what's the other one called? The one where they
Hysterectomy,
take out. Yeah, I think those are immoral.
even in medical circumstances,
I mean,
or like if it
medical
if it
circumstances.
like hurts the individual and they do it for like.
Well, yeah, if they do it and then like never engage in intercourse again, I guess it could be fine.
So you think it'd be wrong for them to engage in intercourse after that point?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you consider kissing sexual?
Uh, mm, I mean, I guess it kind of depends. I don't
Yeah. What is considered a sexual action?
know. Um, anything that could lead to reproduction, I guess you could say, but like, or anything with the main purpose of like leading to reproduction. Like, I wouldn't say kissing is necessarily sexual. Like,
Anything with the purpose of reproduction. Okay. So if you're both infertile, it's technically not sex then, or sexual action, because it's not with the purpose of reproduction. Same thing with gay intercourse. It's technically not sexual intercourse under your view. Therefore, it's not immoral,
yeah, that's
right?
the
Because
problem.
it's not a sexual action.
No, no, that's the problem though.
All right. So then what's wrong with it if it's not a sexual action?
It's not sexual action. I mean, it is still sexual action for gay people though.
Well, apparently not under your definition.
No, no, because the parts they're using are
They're
intended
not
for
they're not trying to
reproduction.
reproduce in that scenario.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, so I mean, but that was the basis of what you considered sexual action.
What?
That was the basis of what you consider sexual action. So if that's not sexual action, well then how do you consider it to be wrong?
How do I consider it to be wrong.
Yeah,
But
because your argument was that sexual action that does not lead to reproduction is immoral, right? But that's not even possible under your view because sexual action requires that there's some sort of intent for
yeah, you're not
reproduction.
supposed to use the parts that are intended for sexual reproduction in a way that's not for sexual reproduction.
Oh, okay. So now you're saying that like, oh, you have to use your so what so it only can be used in the method in which there's reproduction. So is urinating immoral?
Well, no, because it's for reproduction and urinating.
Okay, so what makes you stop there? Appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you so much.
Like anything that its purpose.
Isn't it also for pleasure? I mean that's a function
Who
as
said
well.
that?
Why do you accept those two functions but not another?
But like the pleasure is low key like the weakest aspect. Like you don't need pleasure to evolve. Like you don't need
Clearly, you don't need pleasure to involve, but it absolutely incentivizes it. That's why it exists biologically speaking.
it incentivizes it. I mean, I guess
Yeah, yeah. Like, do you think that there would be less reproduction if you didn't get pleasure from it? Clearly.
uh yeah. I mean, someone could argue. You could argue that it'd be the same amount, but
Okay.
what do you mean? Okay, are you good, bro?
Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm really chilling. I don't see how you see that at all. But go for it. What was your point?
Like us as technically animals, like we're gonna have like chemicals in our brains that are just gonna tell us to reproduce. Like even if the pleasure wasn't there, we're still going to
What
reproduce.
chemicals?
Okay, I don't know the exact name of the chemicals now, but
It's literally the pleasure.
literally the what?
It's literally the pleasure or like the sense of euphoria that we get from the relation. But the relation doesn't come until it's already produced, right? So you're talking about what incentivizes them to reproduce. It can't be something that came about after the reproduction.
Yes, it can.
Hmm?
Do you not hear me?
How could it come about after the reproduction if it's supposed to be before the reproduction? Oxytocin and pleasure, clearly speaking, is probably the influence there.
I mean, it's not the only thing. Like sea animals. Like, do sea animals really feel pleasure?
Um, I mean, they can, yeah.
They can.
Yeah, some, yeah.
What sea animals? Some. So not all.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about an animal, right, I would assume that they would all have like conscious
But
abilities.
like sea life, sea life.
Um, yeah,
Like
dolphins
there's
clearly, like
like life.
sharks, like
There's
bro,
like
like they literally like you fish,
no,
like
I'm saying like there's like life forms that like reproduce without pleasure, like because it's just in their biological code to reproduce. They don't need an incentive to. Like
you're
it's
talking
in
like
their code as a species.
microorganisms.
I mean, you could say those, but like also like animals without brains or like develop brains, you could say, or like developed emotions to really feel pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, well, clearly speaking, I don't think that they like there would be a sense of feeling pleasure within that standpoint. But like you would just say like say for example with like trees or plants, it would just happen to be the case that they reproduce. There's really not like an incentive structure when it relates to that. I appreciate that the hat and mustache. Thank you so much because it's not like a mind or an entity.
Yeah,
We're
it's not
talking
a
about
mind,
like
but
the
like
incentive.
their biological code, it's coded in them to reproduce. Like they don't need
Appreciate
it.
that mustache. Thank you so
Just
much.
like it's
Appreciate
coded
it.
into us to reproduce.
Well, I mean, I think that clearly speaking, that biological encoding would imply that like the chemicals that we have are feelings that we have for each other. That'd probably be the basis of it. Thank
No,
you,
I'm
Jerry.
saying
Appreciate that
like
mustache. Thank you.
if the pleasure wasn't there, we'd still be reproducing at a high rate.
Well, okay, I don't think that we would be doing it at the same rate though. That's the point I was making. And
The
also, this
same
isn't
rate.
relevant to the broader point,
I mean,
right?
how do you know that we wouldn't do it at the same rate though?
Well, I would assume that it would be different, right? As again, when it relates to things like teen pregnancy, or it relates to things like people having pregnancies when they're in relationships. Clearly speaking, that would happen less if it was the case that people weren't engaging in intercourse for pleasure or for expression of love. Appreciate the handout. Thank you so much.
I mean,
Because clearly, the more you engage in intercourse, the higher chance you have for getting someone pregnant. Clearly.
yeah, obviously, but like, even if you say that, like, there's no real like stats that you can show that like there would be more or less. Like, it's all speculation.
More or less for what? Sorry, say that again. Jerry, I
The
appreciate the subscription.
the amount of people reproducing if there was no pleasure involved.
Yeah, I would just say that we would have like reason to believe that it would likely be less.
Reason to believe. I mean, I
That's
guess.
that's what I just went over.
Is that the most likely possibility though? Like,
Yeah,
how?
I just gave a reason for it.
What was the reason?
Appreciate the sunglasses. Thank you so much. Did you listen?
No, that was like 2 minutes ago.
So what were we just talking about?
I mean, we're just talking about a bunch of different topics. Which topic? Because we're just on the sea life, and then you switched it up to pleasure, and then you switched it up to the amount of people reproducing in our society. And it's like, which one?
I'm confused what you're saying. I was responding to you.
Okay,
You're
but I'm
acting like
saying,
I'm the one who brought it up, bruh.
what?
Yeah.
Are you good, bro?
I'm totally good right now.
All right. So, but even if you say that, like, there would be more people reproducing even without the pleasure, or like more people reproducing because of the pleasure than if there was
I
no
mean, this
pleasure.
is an irrelevant point anyway. Appreciate that, Cap. Thank you for that.
What?
Appreciate it. This is the relevant point in terms of like the whole broader argument anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say that, and I was about to relate it to the broader argument.
Go for it.
So even if you say that there'll be more people reproducing with the pleasure than without the pleasure, like that doesn't make it like right though.
Never said it did.
Why'd you
I'm
think that?
describing it as a function, right? You were saying that you accept these two functions like reproduction and urination, and I'm saying why don't you accept a third function of pleasure?
I mean, the point is though, like, do you need pleasure to reproduce though? Like, even if we
Well, we
have,
don't need it to reproduce, but I mean, do you need pleasure to
oh,
urinate? Well, not necessarily, right? Like, I'm confused what your point is.
exactly, and that's
Like,
why pleasure
what's your
is the
point?
most
Like, I'm saying, I'm asking
intelligent to
you,
want.
you accept these two functions. Why don't you accept the third? What's the relevant distinction between these
But the
two?
third one isn't a necessary function
What do you mean necessary for what?
for reproduction.
Again, you just appealed back to that one function. Okay, it's necessary for pleasure.
Well, reproduction is like 50% of why it's
It's
even.
a desire you have, right? So you have a desire for one
No, it's not a
function, but you have a
desire.
you don't have a desire for the
It's a
other.
biological need for a species to continue.
Appreciate the hand art. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, sure, right in a descriptive sense, but you saying that should continue is your own desire.
No, it's not.
It clearly is. What are you
How?
talking about?
Elaborate.
You saying it should be a particular way is absolutely a desire that you have.
No.
Then how come I can have an alternative desire?
Well, I mean, yours would just be wrong.
How is my wrong?
Because I'm looking from a species standpoint, and you can't really argue
No,
that.
how is mine wrong?
Yeah, because I'm looking from a species standpoint, and
That's
anything
your own
else.
desire. What separates your view?
No, because there is no continuing as a species isn't a desire. It's a need for us to even be alive. Like, if we stop continuing, then we're just gone.
Okay, but like you placing a desire on like, oh, we should care about this, right? Is also something that is based upon a desire, right? Which is indistinct from like other types of desires that individuals would have, right?
How is
So
mine a
you'd have
desire?
to give like proper reasoning if you're trying to say that like, or like counter examples or like reductios that would say that you should accept this particular desire or that actually your desire is in accordance with mine or something.
But like, why? You said mine has to be in accordance with yours or not?
No, that's the whole goal of different conversations when it relates to what our preferences and our desires are about morality. We're trying to show people different perspectives to say that, like, oh, you actually care about what I care about.
Yeah, but I don't care about gay people
So why don't you care about gay people?
because it's nasty.
What's nasty about it?
Like, you're sticking your thing in another man. That's like low key. That's weird.
Okay, okay, do you think that finding feet attractive is weird?
Yeah, it's
Do you think
weird.
it's immoral to find feet attractive?
Uh, Immoral. He, I mean, I guess I'd say it's immoral, but most people probably wouldn't.
You'd say you think finding feet attractive is immoral?
Yeah, because that's not really like what feet are for.
Okay, so if someone finds someone's like arms or veins attractive in their arms, or muscles
Yeah.
attractive, is that wrong?
If they find them attractive,
That's not what they're for.
veins or muscles, I mean, hold on, veins or muscles. I mean,
Like that's not what that's
I
for, you
get, I
know?
get what you're trying to do here, but like, some people would say that's immoral.
Handy, I appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much. Would you?
Yeah,
You think finding veins and muscles attractive is
yeah,
immoral?
veins, no.
So
That's
so so gym bros, anyone who finds a gym bro attractive is doing something immoral. Honestly, that might be a base standpoint. Um, say for example, if we relate to like someone's hair, right? If
yeah.
someone finds someone's hair attractive, right? Is that immoral?
Someone's hair, I wouldn't say that.
But like, is it your hair's not for that?
I mean, it kind of is
Well, how so?
because like hair, low key is like a biological need.
You don't need no. There are people that are bald that
Well, like
are completely fine.
I'm talking like back when humans first like came into
No,
existence.
on the top of my head right now, right? My hair is not necessary. I could go bald right now. I could still
Oh
survive.
yeah, I know that. I know that now because we got all this stuff. Like,
Okay, sure. So
but
like,
like,
what's your point? So if someone finds someone's hair attractive, is that immoral?
yeah,
Yes.
yes,
Okay, if someone finds someone's facial structure attractive, is that immoral?
depends
What do you mean it depends?
if it's me or not. Nah, I'm trolling.
Okay, this is
But
this is you trolling. I fucking knew it. I knew
yeah,
it, dude. I fucking knew it. Yeah, like it went way too far, bro. I was about to say like facial structure is immoral. That's a wild take. I was running it down the line. That's so funny. Gosh, yo, what's up? Welcome back.
What up?
Well, why'd you leave?
My bad. I had to go, bro.
Okay. So what were you saying?
I don't even remember what we were arguing about, but we can start over. Ask me a question, and we'll
Yeah,
make an
do you think that being
argument.
gay is wrong or immoral?
Do I think that being gay is what?
Wrong or immoral?
I think being gay is immoral.
Okay, so why? Hello? Okay. No munching, please. Yeah, so real. Okay, is he like leaving? I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next person. He's not connecting. Again, only send a guest request if you disagree. If you want to see some debates, everyone tap that screen. We're gonna be back on the main account with by the 22nd. Everyone, yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Hello? Okay. Let's go to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. Again, everyone, we're going to be back on the 22nd. We are suspended until then on live on my main account. We'll be
Hello,
back there pretty soon. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 18.
Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yeah, I think it's immoral.
Why?
Um, Well, first of all, is it all right if I just ask you a question?
Go for it.
So, where do you get where do you personally get your morality from?
Preferences.
Preferences. So, if everybody had your kind of thought on morality to get it from their preferences, then wouldn't that be problematic?
No, it's most people use it in an anti-realist sense anyway already. Most people use moral language in an anti-realist sense. There's like a pretty good documentation on this if you look into like metaethics.
Anti what? Sorry, I didn't understand.
Anti-realism,
So, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by anti-realism?
like it relates to like a subjective notion of morality in most senses.
So, if everybody had kind of a subjective morality, that would not that would not be practical. That would not be sustainable.
No, it's literally like descriptively true. Well, why
It
is it
really
not?
isn't.
What do you mean it's not practical? And just because something's not practical doesn't mean it's wrong. That has nothing to do with its truth value.
Well, if somebody had their own subjective view on morality, then what's stopping you? You know where I'm going with this. Then what's stopping me from having my own subjective morality and going and doing things that are harming other people or doing things that could harm people in like an indirect form?
Like in a
So,
descriptive sense, like what would happen in society? Well, we have laws set up to like ensure that those types of things don't occur,
okay,
right? But
so
like we're
does
just
that
talking in a
mean,
descriptive sense, right?
well, then does that mean that you get your moralities from from the law?
No, I don't get my morality from the law at all. I'm just telling you in a descriptive sense what would happen, right? Do you understand the difference between a descriptive claim about morality and a prescriptive claim?
No, I don't understand it. Can
So
you
a
explain?
descriptive claim is is gonna be relating to like what is going to happen in society, and a prescriptive claim is like what I think should happen in society. I wasn't making a claim about what I think should happen in society. I was
Mhm.
simply describing what would happen in society.
Okay, so why do you think that being gay is morally correct?
Well, I think it's going to be morally neutral the same way being straight is morally neutral. It's going to be no wrong or right to be gay or to be straight.
So does that mean that has no effect on society?
It doesn't necessarily mean there's no effect. It doesn't mean I would say that it is moral or immoral. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't be gay or should or shouldn't be straight.
Right, yeah, I understand. I'm just saying like if it's something that, it's because like being gay, it's when you get into like a moral compass of, this is my own morality and this is my own subjective morality, it's very dangerous, first of all, because there's no set specific rules that we are following. So I personally get my
I'm guessing
morals
you like
from,
believe in God.
I do, yeah. Yep. I'm
Yeah.
religious.
Do
I
you
believe in
think do
God.
you think that if God didn't exist, there's a fact about morality?
Well, that in itself is an incorrect question because God is not existing is just, it's like, it's impossible. It's not something that can
Sure,
ever
you
be.
can. I mean, that's that. I don't think you can ground that. You're saying God is necessary. You're saying there's logical contradictions of every other alternative explanation. That's clearly not true.
Absolutely it is because God not existing in itself I'm trying to be
Are you
respectful,
making the
but it's just,
necessary being argument? Necessary being doesn't entail a God, right?
then what does it entail? Does it
It could
entail
be anything. It could be a set of fundamental particles that are prior to the universe. It could be a naturalistic cause, right? You saying that it's something like
naturalistic?
it has to
So
be some sort of God, right? Is a particular assumption.
absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
it
Because
clearly is.
then the same thing for you. Then the same thing for
Yeah,
having
both of those would be
particles.
assumptions. That's why I say that I don't think there's a sufficient explanation when it relates to this, but both of those would be assumptions. And then when it relates to the different explanations or models, right, we'd compare them based upon how many assumptions they make to explain the exact same question, right? And it
Okay.
seems like when
Well,
you assume a God, right, you make more assumptions
well, I'm
about
not really. I'm
characteristics that
not.
have to exist to explain the
Mhm.
natural world than if you were to say that there's a naturalistic explanation.
Right, Parker. Well, the thing is, I'm not assuming. It's 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 almost so clear and obvious that it's true that you don't have to assume because let me give you an
Like
example.
here, can I
Let
can I
me
just
so
like ask can I ask this point then, right?
of course.
Is morality true independent of God's stance or desire or attitude?
Is it true based on what God wants it to be?
Yeah, is it true independent of that, of his wants?
So I don't understand what your question is. I'm sorry. Like
Is morality true independent of God's wants?
so depending on what God wants, that's what morality is.
Yeah, is that how
Absolutely.
morality functions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's subjective morality, dude. So this whole
No, it's
argument
not
you have
subjective
against
morality.
subjective morality applies to your own view, bro.
No, I don't agree
No, it
because
literally does. That is subjective morality. Like
here, let me explain.
stance-dependent truth when it relates to morality, that's literally subjective. That's the
I'm
same as
sorry,
my view,
what?
dude.
It really isn't
Yeah.
because you're not God.
Well, I don't have to be God, right? All you're saying is
You,
that God has a bigger stick, right? That's all you're saying.
no, I'm not saying God has a
That's all.
bigger stick.
That's
I'm
literally
saying
all you're saying. They're both
no. Is it
preferences. I have
okay?
a preference. God has a
Right.
preference. You're just saying that you like God's stick better, right? That's all it is.
So here, like, is that all right if I just have like 1 second, please?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, saying like, oh, like I'm just agreeing more with God. Well, when you say God has a bigger stick, like God is God. I don't think you understand. God is the Almighty. God created you and created me, right? So why have our morals subjective to each other? So to myself, why would I make the decision to follow my moral compass when the moral compass is already given to us by God Himself, right? So
Um,
so if I don't have the power to make that decision. I have to follow the moral compass that everybody else is supposed to follow. I'm not the one who can make
who's
my own
saying you're
moral
supposed to
compass.
follow it? God, right?
God.
So what's different from God saying you're supposed to follow God and me
Uh,
saying you're supposed to follow Parker?
because God is God. I don't think you
Well,
understand the
God, I
weight of
didn't know
God.
that. Thank you for telling me.
Listen, Parker, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I'm just trying to,
No,
show
no,
my
Omar,
view.
be totally real, right? Saying
I am.
God is God to me, does that tell me anything that I didn't know prior?
It does because I
No, it
feel like you're
doesn't.
understanding.
It doesn't
Because I
tell me
feel,
anything.
Parker, because I feel like your understanding on God is not coherent with your own understanding of your moral compass. So when you say, when I explain to you that God is an almighty being who's greater than us by an infinite amount, by an amount that we cannot even comprehend, that God created you and created me and created the whole earth, the universe, all right? That means that God has an authority over us that's so large that we can't even
So my
comprehend.
parents also created me, right? So
Um, and who
does their
created your parents?
morality have authority over my morality?
So, right, so who created your parents?
Well, I mean, we can talk about that after. We're just talking about who created me, right?
No,
Because my
we're not, we're
parents
not,
created me,
we're
right, and
not,
took
we're
care
not
of me.
specifically
It
talking about who
seems it
created you.
seems like they would have some sort of moral authority over me, right?
Um, Moral authority, if I'd understand if you were younger and your parents told you this is not correct, you'd
No, like
listen to
right
them.
now, I'm 21.
Okay, so what? I'm
Yeah,
not
should
really
should my parents
understanding
have
your point.
moral authority over me because they
Your parents
literally
should have
created me?
authority over you. Your
But they
parents should have
created me.
authority over you. Well, no, God created you, but through your
No, no, no,
parents.
no, no, no. My parents created me.
God created you through your parents. But I think we're
No,
kind of
no, 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 no.
absolutely,
God created
absolutely.
Adam and Eve, right? And
So you're saying
through
so.
them doing things and them causing things, right, I ended up being created. So as a
So what you're
byproduct of
saying.
God
So
creating
basically,
Adam
what
and
you're
Eve,
saying.
there was a creation of like me and other types of individuals, but it was definitely through the causation of my parents, right? That's going to be relevant. Okay?
Yeah. So basically, God created you through your parents, because without God, you would not be here.
But like
It's so
that's
easy
not
to
relevant
understand.
to the point because you're saying
Right.
that like
Right.
if an entity creates another entity, they have some sort of moral authority over them, right? And I'm saying
No,
my parents
that's not.
created me, therefore they have
I
moral
think you're.
authority over me.
So Parker, I think with all due respect, I think you're looking at it through a very superficial way. I think you were looking at it like just from the surface. What I
I
was saying.
really so real.
Well, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying how I think. I could be wrong, but what I'm trying to say is that you're looking at it through. Oh, like just because they created me, like boom, all of a sudden they have moral authority over me. What I'm saying is that your parents conceiving you is literally not even close to God creating all of us. All right, God creating all of us means automatically that God is the one that has the authority to give us our morality. We don't know what's good for us. All right.
Wait, so now
We
you
don't.
just said God creating us means that again, my parents created me. So what's the relevant distinction? Are you saying that
Okay.
just because God did more things?
So obviously we're not on the same page on who created who. So that's irrelevant to this topic. What I'm trying to say
Clearly, it is
God.
the case that my parents created me, at least in some sense. Do you agree?
So you're saying in some sense.
In some sense, my parents created me. Do you agree?
Well, your parents conceived you,
Thank you
but
very
God
much.
created
So,
your
like
parents.
the note, sure, right?
So you,
I
no,
mean, actually, no.
don't
My
try to,
God didn't create
Parker,
my
don't.
parents. God created Adam and Eve, and that led to my parents existing. The
No,
same way it led to me existing. My
God
parents
created
weren't the
Adam and
first
Eve, and
humans.
God created your parents.
My
God
mom
created
wasn't handcrafted by God. Okay, I don't think that's the case.
your mom wasn't handcrafted by her mom. Like it's God is the one with all the power, regardless of how we come from,
Well,
regardless of
God again isn't like physical, doesn't engage in reproduction. So there'd be different processes for God creating humans comparative to like if you literally just
well, I
read
don't think you
Genesis,
understand.
right? Literally constructs
Mhm.
Eve from the rib of Adam, right? That's a construction. That's literally forming them. Okay,
All right.
that's distinct from again how we engage in reproduction and produce people. So it's a different type of causation. I was actually describing it accurately.
So I have a question. Yeah. So in your sense, you were describing it accurately. Yeah, I don't have to agree with that. But what I'm saying is that what you're thinking is that God just like he just sits back and just lets it happen. Is that kind of what you're? I just want to understand your point of view, just so I can have a more
You believe in
productive.
free will, right?
What does that have to do with what
Well,
with this
because if you
conversation?
believe in free will and then it's not God determining their will, well, then clearly speaking, whether or not I exist is dependent on my parents' actions and their free will,
What
right?
does
So,
I'm
are you
sorry.
if
What
you're
does
saying that it's God that caused me, well, then it seems like you'd also be committed to the statement that God causes sin.
absolutely
Okay, wait, yeah,
God allows sin to happen.
yeah. Do you think that okay? So you agree with the statement that God causes sin? So would you agree with the statement that God caused the Holocaust?
Yes,
Okay.
God did not cause it. God knew. God knows everything. God knows that this is gonna happen. God knows that anything's gonna happen before it ever happens. That doesn't mean that oh God killed all the Jews. God did this. Like no,
No,
like that's
God
not how it
caused
works.
their death.
Just like he's gonna cause your death. Just like he's gonna cause my death. Just like he's
Yeah.
gonna cause your birth.
Yeah.
Just like he causes Earth to be
So all the,
thing,
all
to be a
those
thing.
all those babies that die of cancer, God caused that.
Bro, just like all the babies that were born. Like you can't just say, "Oh, God caused all the bad things" without understanding that God caused everything. God caused everything to happen, regardless of what it is,
So how
because
could an
God,
all good God cause sin?
because through sin we are being tested in order to pass the test to go to heaven. But
Okay,
listen,
so here's my question, right?
we're kind
It,
of training
is
off
God all
onto a
knowing?
different path. We're not staying on the morality aspect of being gay or not. So I
Well,
think
it's grounded, your position's grounded in God. So
absolutely,
if we
and
deconstruct your notion of God, doesn't that deconstruct your notion of being gay being like wrong?
no, no,
No? So you still think
no,
it's wrong outside the context of religion?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So, but I'm gonna stay on my religious aspect because that's what I know. So basically, you getting your own morality from something other than God, which I know, oh, like you're gonna try to
It's
deconstruct.
literally just the same preference as like me having a preference.
What do you mean?
You're just saying you like God's preference, which is your own preference.
Yeah, no, I like God's preference because it's God's preference. Because that's
Cool.
what God
Thank
wants
you.
for
Thank you
us.
for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know that God's preference is God's preference. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's I don't know what you're trying to get with that, but what I'm trying to say is that
You don't. Okay.
God's preference is infinitely better and
Why is it
has
better?
more authority than your preference and than my preference
Well, I don't
and than
accept
what
that. I don't have
you don't
that
accept that?
preference.
What do you mean? Like
I have a separate
you think
preference. Thank you for the
so
mic
you
check. I
think
appreciate it. That's your. You just told me your preference about morality. Okay.
so you
And
think
you say that I follow God.
so you
Thank you,
think
God. I
hold on one
appreciate it.
second.
And
One second.
I say I'm gonna follow my own preferences.
That's fine. Follow your own preference. Well, you're asking a question. I'm answering. Why is
What's distinct
being gay?
between my preferences and God's preferences?
The fact that you're asking that question in itself is, laughable because God's preference, dude, because when I say that, because when you take God as something that's like equivalent to us, I don't think you really take God as an omni, like as a being who is infinitely stronger than us and knows more than us and knows everything. like it's just I can't comprehend the fact that you think
Okay? There are
that
people
you can
smarter
choose.
than you on the planet. Do you accept their morality? Right? If Albert Einstein makes a claim, are you going to accept it? He's smarter than
Who's
you.
Albert Einstein compared to God?
I'm just asking before you even talk about God existing,
I'm not
right?
using my
Would
morality.
you
I'm using the morality of
would you
God.
accept that?
I'm not using my morality. I'm
Say
using the
there's not a
morality of
notion
God.
of God. Would you accept that?
That cannot exist. No notion of God is
Okay.
not
Can
allowed.
you understand the hypothetical?
But the hypothetical in itself is laughable because the
It is
notion of
not
no God,
laughable, right?
it is.
You know what's
Because the
laughable? The
notion
fact
of
that you think that's laughable because you think that there's a logical contradiction in any other explanation outside of
there
a
is a
God,
huge
when
logical
in
contradiction.
reality, your literal
Because
belief is logically contradictory, right? Like
so
we can go
so
through it.
so Parker, and you contradicting is saying that having a like making up a like saying that, oh, like what if there's no God? What are you gonna believe in? Saying what if there's no God in
Yeah,
itself
no,
is
I'm
not reasonable.
asking. Yes, no, it's meant to demonstrate a concept. Okay.
I can't like not I don't think it's possible to comprehend it fully. Saying that what if there's no God? Because having no God means that, there will be chaos. There will be nothing actually. Having no God is just like it's impossible. It's out of my spectrum. And my maybe I'm dumb or something, but it's out of my spectrum of understanding to have no God.
Yeah, so like again, what is the reason why we require a God to explain the reality comparative to others? What's the contradiction with every other alternative
Alternative to what?
to God?
I'm sorry. So
You're
what
saying
is
there's a logical contradiction in
uh-huh.
any other entity explaining reality other than God. And I'm asking you, what's the
Because
contradiction with
every
all
other
those
okay, yeah,
worldviews?
yeah, I understand what you mean. Because every other entity can have mistakes. Every other entity can be imperfect. Every other entity
I don't think a perfect
lives,
God even exists.
breathes.
Do you want to give me even? We can go through an argument for that.
One
Just
second,
simple.
one second, Parker. One second, Parker. I really appreciate like you letting me speak. So every other entity is imperfect. Every other entity sleeps, breathes, has bad days. Every other entity needs to drink water. Every other entity needs to, they need to have a specific function in order to live. Okay. Taking your morality strictly based off an entity that needs and that is dependent on things is in itself not smart because
Oh,
who,
by the way, you
Mhm.
can run things that are independent. Like even if I want to accept your terminology in terms of infinite regression, other stuff like that, right? I can literally just say that like there's an independent set of fundamental particles. Like you understand that I can do the same thing for a
dependent by God.
naturalistic explanation.
Who created those particles?
They always existed in the same way God always existed.
Well, they wouldn't exist without God's permission.
That doesn't make any sense. That's an assumption on your end. Again, if they
No.
always existed, they wouldn't
Mhm.
require a cause, right? Because it has no
So then what you're
beginning.
saying is
The
that they're
same way
higher than
that
God.
God doesn't require a cause because God has no beginning.
So what you're saying is that they can be before God or they can be without
No,
God.
no, yeah, without God. What's the issue?
That in
What's the
itself
issue?
doesn't make sense.
No, you're just saying it doesn't make sense because you're not trying to actually engage with the concept.
I am Parker. I'm
No,
trying. I really
you're
am
really
trying.
not. You're actually really not, right? Because again,
Parker, Mhm.
this is an independent set that has always existed in the same way God always existed. If you say that it requires some sort of
So
cause
you're
or
saying that
God
they're
had to
equivalent to
permit
God.
it to exist, well, then there has to be a God that permitted God to exist,
Do you mean they're I'm
and then
sorry,
there has to be a
just so I
God
can
to permit
understand.
that God into existing.
Just so I can understand. What you're saying is that they're equivalent. So basically, are they equivalent to God?
What do you mean?
If
Like
if they can exist,
in terms of
if they can
causing the existence of the universe? Yeah.
if they can exist without God, are they equivalent to God?
What? Say that again?
If they can exist without God, are they equivalent to God?
No. They're
Then
not
what are they?
equivalent because they don't have the same characteristics. Again, because my model requires less assumptions than yours would here.
So what is your thought process when you say that they don't need to God to exist? What tells you that they're always there?
Yeah. So again, the same assumption that you made. When
No,
we're
because
talking
there's
about a
proof.
comparative hypothesis here, we're
There's
making
proof,
assumptions.
there's
Okay.
miracles, there's
Hold
proof,
up. Let me. No, there's
there is
not. There's not.
there is Parker, but
Give me miracles and give me proof right now. Go for
the
it. Use a
Quran,
little crown. I appreciate it.
the Quran. I'm a Muslim myself. I believe in Quran, right? So miracles in the Quran is substantial. It's a lot.
Go
So
for it. Give me one.
miracles in the Quran.
Give me one.
Moses splitting the sea was in the Quran.
Okay, I don't believe that. Give me a reason to believe that.
Reasonably, the Quran being a linguistic miracle. There is no educational thought or
Why is it a
writing
linguistic
thought.
miracle?
What was that?
Why is it a linguistic miracle?
Because at the time there was nothing like it. People were not, to this day, people cannot make something like it. So it's a linguistic miracle.
What do you mean
Easily.
make something like it?
They
Okay.
cannot.
I made
something.
Call of Duty cutcoms as a child. No one made something like it either.
Okay, let me rephrase my words so just so I can get my point across better. Nothing can be composed to such level of intellect and to such level of depth close to the Quran. Now, you don't have to be a Muslim. You don't have to be a practicing Muslim or believe in Islam to understand this. But what I'm trying to say, and again, we are going off path from your morality for being gay or whatever.
No, but you're saying that there's
But what I'm
depth
saying
and
is that-
intellect in the Quran that determines that the Quran is like accurate. And I'm asking you, how do I determine this? Like, what do you mean depth and intellect? That seems extraordinarily vague.
what what do you want me to say? Like the
You
thing
said there's
it's
depth
like
and intellect in the
Quran
Quran,
itself,
like
the
not seen
Quran
by anything
itself.
else. I could say there's depth and intellect in my Call of Duty cutcoms from when I was
You
a
can't.
child that was not seen in other Call of Duty cutcoms as children.
You can't. No.
What do
You
you
can't
mean?
because you can't because there's no
can't I?
learning. There's no learning and understanding in the Quran itself. We're supposed to follow it so we can have a better
And
life.
that's a claim. I could say you're supposed to follow my YouTube videos as a kid.
No, but YouTube videos are imperfect.
Well, I say that they're perfect.
That's in your own subjective.
Same
that's
thing
in
with
your own
God.
subjective-
Same thing with
That's
God.
not true. The Quran
No, what
is
God
perfect.
considers as
One
flawless
second.
is his own subjective opinion.
Brother, 1 second, brother. The Quran
Unironically, that's
itself-
God's own subjective opinion.
So 1 second, Parker. So the Quran itself is not just subjectively perfect, it's objectively perfect. Because everything in it is perfect regardless of what you believe in. Right? So
No,
everything in it-
that's not true. So
It
is it
is.
regardless of whether or not God believes it?
What do you mean whether or not
Is
God
it regardless of whether or not God believes it?
I don't
Is it
understand
true
what you mean by
regardless of whether or not God believes it?
that. What do you mean if God
If
believes
God
it?
doesn't believe it, is it true?
Dude, you can't ask the same question and expect me to understand.
I don't understand how that's not like understood. Like that's a very basic question.
I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say. Like if God
All I'm
doesn't
saying
believe
is that
it,
it's
how
literally
can God
God's
not
subjective
believe?
opinion. It is literally
God
God's
doesn't need to
opinion.
believe. We need to believe.
God doesn't have beliefs.
What do you
Does
mean
God
doesn't
believe
have
that you
beliefs?
exist?
Bro, I'm not God. I wouldn't know.
You don't know if God believes that you exist.
No, God knows I exist because he's the one that created me.
Wait, but you can also believe. Believe just means you think that they exist.
No,
Okay? Does God think you exist?
God knows I exist because he's the one that created
So
me.
God doesn't think you exist.
God knows I exist.
God doesn't think you exist.
Bro, I have a pen in my hand right now. I don't think I have a pen in my hand. I know there's a pen in my hand.
Okay, you know and you think.
What do you mean by think?
By
Like,
virtue
am
of
I
you
making an
knowing, you are
assumption?
thinking that it's true, right? Like
Do you mean that am I making an assumption that there's a pen in my hand? Or do I know
no. Belief just means that you think it to be true, okay? So you think things that you know to be true, right? Like I believe that I exist. I know I exist and I believe that I exist.
Okay. So what's your point from that?
I just said it.
What's your point from I believe that I exist? Like, okay, like you exist. You know you exist. That's above I believe. Saying I believe, there is room for error because when you say I believe, that's your own self. That's what you believe. Okay? That doesn't mean that has to be true. Like a kid can believe that Santa is real, okay? All right. Now what?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can believe that God exists.
No, I know that God exists because I am the product of this. You are the product.
No. You assume that you're the product of it.
No,
The same way that the child assumes that their like presents are from Santa Claus.
No, because there's room for error in that. There's no room for error in believing.
No, there
and
is
knowing.
room for error in your belief. That's
isn't,
absurd for you to believe that there's no room for error.
Brother,
That is like
there
the
isn't.
epitome
I
of
promise you there
confirmation bias.
Brother, I promise you there isn't. Let me tell you.
Okay, then you gave me, like, when I asked you about the Quran, you literally gave me the depth of intellect of the Quran, and that there's like some subjective notion that God has that like this is perfect. Like the Quran
Bro,
is like
who
good.
are you
I
to
don't
say
I
that
don't think the Quran is perfect.
Really?
Right? There are claims in the Quran I don't think are accurate.
To compare to what?
To like historical fact, to scientific
what?
fact. Historical
Like what?
fact, Jesus crucifying on the cross. Scientific fact, where sperm comes from, the testes, right? It says that the spurting fluid that causes like life,
Mhm.
right, comes from between the backbone and the rib.
Okay.
Okay, that is clearly false.
Listen. It's not between the backbone. It's in that area below. So I don't know what you're
It's
trying to say.
below
Like
that area, so it's not in between that area. So you
you could
agree
be
that
in
it's
between.
false?
You could be in between something and below it. We're going in a different
No, it's
path right
not in
now.
between though. The
Where
testes are
did we
not in
where did we
between
go?
the
Where did
backbone
we
and the
go
rib.
from where did we go from being
No, no,
gay
no.
to
Do
the
you think
test?
that the testes are in between the backbone and the rib?
I don't know. I'm not an anatomy major. So
No. No, they're not.
okay, so what do you want me to do right now? Like I'm
So
so
so so so
confused
then
on
you can
where
acknowledge
you're
that that's
bringing
that's a
this.
false claim scientifically speaking within the Quran. And not only is there a false claim scientifically speaking, there's false claims historically speaking in terms of Jesus' crucifixion, right? It
So
literally
by
in
your
the
standard,
Quran
so
it
by
says
your
that
standard,
wait, hold up. In the Quran it literally says that it was made to appear that Jesus was oh my gosh, was crucified on the cross. So if it's made to appear that way, you're indicating that the best possible evidence would indicate that it's Jesus. Therefore, from
so then
our historical evidence, it would
mhm.
indicate that again it was Jesus on the cross. So even your own claim
So what
just
you're saying
relies upon
basically,
faith within
so
that standpoint.
Parker, what you're saying is that you believe, so what makes you believe that it was actually Jesus on the cross?
First of all, I could actually, again, you could use the Quran, like I just told you. You could also refer to Tacitus. You could refer to Josephus. Right? There are multiple individuals that you could refer to as
Josephus, so
historically
you
speaking that
saying,
indicate this to be true.
so you saying the Quran is incorrect and it's an assumption, could be used same on the whatever you said, Josephus or what is it?
Well, we have a few things here, right? We have multiple different historical accounts for this particular notion, right? It's
Based on
not
who?
just from that individual, right?
Based on who?
I just told you. I just gave you two individuals, right?
Okay,
We
so
can
what
also relate
makes
to
them,
other types. What's
sorry,
up?
Parker, I keep cutting you off, my bad, but what makes them more, like what gives them more authority than the Quran?
The multiple amount of claims from people that do not have biases in accordance with a particular thing being true, indicating this is true. This is why we don't use the Bible to justify the historical claims of the Bible, right? We use extra biblical evidence to say whether or not an event happened. Why? Because these are individuals that did not have biases for these particular events being true. When it relates to the Quran, the people who are dictating it, right, have biases for this to be true as they
Dictating what?
believe in the particular religion. The same thing
Dictating what?
as we would relate to, say, Christianity, the same thing as we relate to Judaism, any other particular religion, Mormonism, if you want to relate to a particular denomination of
Parker,
Christianity.
dictating what?
What do you mean dictating what?
Like you said, the ones that are dictating the Quran have biases. Dictating, like, what do you mean dictating the Quran?
Yeah, so like, Prophet Muhammad dictated it to individuals to write down.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what he did. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't they have biases for that belief to be correct? Clearly.
well, why would they have biases if it was just the beginning of the belief?
Huh? I appreciate the superpower. Thank you so much.
So they
Because they
wouldn't have
want to believe
biases.
their spiritual experience. Do you think that people have biases in accordance with their spiritual experiences from quote unquote Christianity under your view?
Well, they have biases because that
There you go.
information is already there.
No, no,
When
no.
it was
So they
revealed,
no, they
when
get
it was revealed.
biases and they
So
develop
when
those from the
Mhm.
experiences that they had and different types of experiences in which they've been socialized to believe. Like they can just associate the two. The same thing is true within this circumstance.
No, because in the Quran there was no previous information to take any biases from. To take any bias
No,
to,
there
there's no
was
previous.
other types of religions in terms of like the way that they view it and then a new different type of way of perceiving it. The same sort of way that Mormonism did the exact same thing with their revelation.
I don't know what Mormonism did with their
Yeah, so
revelation.
so they had a new revelation from God, and that's why they dictated this particular like new book, right? So like clearly speaking, we've seen the same thing exist with other types of denominations of even Christianity.
Okay, like it's just like I don't know what Mormonism has to do with this, really.
I literally just explained it. Did you not listen? Tell me what I just said.
I don't know what you just said
You
because
didn't
I don't know what
listen
Mormonism has to do with this.
because you didn't listen.
Like I don't know what
I
Mormonism
brought
has
it
to
up
do with
because it's
this.
particularly a revelation from God, the same way that, again, you believe that Prophet Muhammad having a spiritual experience with the angel Gabriel is a
Mhm.
revelation from God, right? There are
It
different
is.
types of revelations from God in which you accept the interpretations from one, but not the interpretations from the other.
Yeah, and I'd accept it because it's perfect.
No, that's your own assumption. People who are Mormons would say that their books are perfect, okay? Your
Well, it's
assumption
not
is that
because
yours is perfect.
It's not, because it's objectively perfect. It's not
No, no, no.
just
You
mine.
think it's objectively. It's your opinion. That's your God's opinion. They have a
No, no, no.
different notion of
You
God,
can
and that
believe,
God has an opinion.
right? So you can believe in yourself and say that it's not perfect, but objectively it's perfect.
No, you literally just are saying that.
Then you're
No,
literally just
I'm
saying
not
that,
gonna
and
let
you're
you
going
just
in
say
the
that.
circle.
Oh, that's a completely bullshit claim. Like, I'm gonna be
Well,
totally real.
I can say the same
Right?
thing for
That's
you.
no.
You
I'm not
understand?
saying
Like
it's
it,
objective. I'm not saying that's objective. Okay, I'm saying it's a bullshit claim. One, because you believe in a subjective notion of it. Right? It's not objective, and we've
I
already gone
believe in the
over that
subjective
multiple
notion of
times.
Quran.
No, it's subjective notion of perfection. Perfection is defined by God. It's based upon God's notion. If it's
It
based
is.
upon God's notion, it's
Who
subjective. In
else?
nature, it's
So,
mind
so,
dependently true.
so who else would it be based upon?
Okay, you agree that it's mind dependently true.
It's what, bro? What are
It's
you saying?
mind
Uh-huh.
dependently true.
Mind dependently true for what? For perfection?
Yeah, what perfection is defined as. It's dependent upon God's mind.
Well, when you start to put things like when you start to put God with with what we have, it brings room for error because God is not like us. Okay, so when we say, "Oh, what do you think happens in God's brain?" Like that doesn't make sense
This isn't a trick
because we're
question.
not.
This is like the basic question within metaethics of like where the truth of morality comes from, right? Is it independent of a stance, or is it dependent upon a stance? Is it dependent upon a mind? Is it independent of a mind? And it's not a trick question. I'm just asking what your view is. Do you think that there's a truth of morality that's independent of God? And you think no, right? If it's dependent upon God, you agree in subjective morality.
Subjective morality according to God.
Yeah, it's just subjective in
Okay,
accordance with God's
okay.
view.
So if you want to play with words, like it
This
use
isn't playing
oh
with words. This is
no
literally the
no it
terminology
is,
that's
and I
been
just
used
understood it
for hundreds of
because
years.
and I just understood it because if you want to say that subjective morality is a thing, then you're saying, oh, sorry, if you want to say objective morality doesn't exist because God has his own subjective view on morality, then that's a play on
No,
words.
objective morality doesn't exist under your view because it's subjective to God's opinion. Okay?
So
That's the whole
so
point.
then so then so then does objective morality exist?
I don't think it exists.
You don't think it exists.
Yeah, but I'm
So
telling you,
that
even
means
under your own view, it doesn't exist.
okay, here's the thing. It does not exist under my own view. What you're saying is not correct because it's what we take from God is the objective view.
No, false.
It
Because
is.
it's still dependent upon God's stance. It's dependent upon God's mind.
Yes,
Thank you
but
for
I
that little crown. I
really
appreciate it.
don't
That's
think you're
subjective
grasping.
in nature, right?
I
What
don't
you're
think
doing
you're
is you're misunderstanding what subjective morality is referencing. Right? That's what you're
so I don't
misunderstanding.
think so I don't think you're truly grasping the power of God because God itself, it being
Oh my
from
gosh,
God
it
makes it
got that
objective.
doesn't make it. Dude, you're misunderstanding what objective and subjective mean. Okay,
Maybe I
I've
am,
tried to
but what I'm
define it to you,
saying
and
is
I've
that
tried to tell you, right? But
Mhm.
it's not going to be true independent of God's stance. God can't just like subjectively determine it to be objective. That doesn't make any sense. That's a
No,
contradiction in terms.
we're determining that it's objective because it comes from God.
No, we're not determining that it's objective, right? We would say it's subjective, but we just hold the God's view, God's subjective view. That's what your notion
No,
is. You can
no.
say that it's subjective and that you just
It's
accept
like you know what it's
God's.
like
That's
saying. You know
fine.
what it's like saying, brother Parker. It's like saying that the law is subjective. The law is not subjective.
In a descriptive sense,
See, that's what I'm saying.
it
In a play
exists,
on words,
right? Hold on,
it's
no,
subjective.
let me
Go
clarify.
ahead, Parker.
In
Go
a,
ahead, Parker.
in a descriptive sense, it exists. We're talking prescriptively, okay? In a prescriptive sense, it is subjective.
Because it comes from the law, because it comes from the United States Constitution.
Yes, whoever determines a law based upon the Constitution is subjective in terms of its determination,
Yes,
right?
it's so
But
what
the
you're
point
saying that
is
so
that
huh?
like for example, right? I have preferences about morality, right? But descriptively, I have these preferences. It is subjective to the case that I have these preferences, but when we relate to the truth of morality, it's not going to be dependent upon descriptively I have these preferences. It's where does the truth value come from? The truth maker is me, right? So if the truth maker is God, that's subjective because God is a subject. Okay. Like by definition, okay. You're trying to work your way around this and try to
I
still
really am
say that
not.
it's objective so that you have a way to point down and be like, oh my gosh, I'm some from high ground or something. Right. But you don't
No,
have
what I'm
that,
saying,
right? All you
so
have
Parker,
is a separate preference. That's all you have.
no, I have an objective preference because it's not from us.
That was
Parker,
literally a contradiction.
no, Parker, let me explain. So when you say a subjective preference, that means it's a preference that could change between any of us, between me and you. That's a subjective preference, a preference that could change, a preference that has room for change, for room for opinion, right? When we work with God, okay, when we work with God's rules, there is no subjective. There's only a pure objective. There's a pure rule book that we follow. There's no room for opinion. That's why it's objective, because it's for all of us, and none of us can change it. None of us can put our 2 cents in order to say, oh, no, I agree with this and I don't agree with this. That would make it subjective. But when you say it's
Okay,
objective,
your notion
it's
of
strictly,
objective is not the same notion of objective used in meta ethics. Thank you for the hat mustache. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Your
bro,
notion of
what?
objective is compatible with the subjective notion of morality. Okay, that's not it's a nonsense gibberish term of objective that's not used anywhere within philosophy.
I don't understand. I don't understand why, like, because when I say that God causes the objective morality, because we cannot change it, I don't understand how you're not like grasping it, because it's purely based from God. So if it's purely based from God that we cannot change it, then it's purely objective,
That's
because
not
we
objective.
have
That's not
no.
objective in the same
It
sense that
is.
we're using the word objective.
It is, brother,
You're
because
using
that
it
means that
differently than everyone else is using it.
no, I'm not,
No, I'm
because
serious. You are
when
literally using the term differently
Parker,
than
I'm
everyone
not.
else.
Parker, I'm
You
not,
actually
because
are.
it's
You're
not
equivocating
Parker.
between your usage of the term objective and the common usage of the term objective, which means stance independent truth about morality when it relates to like moral facts, right? And then for subjective morality, it would relate to stance dependent truths about morality.
Parker, no, it's because that morality comes from God, a being that's above us. Okay, we don't change anything
That's
because
what you think, right? Sure, whatever you want to think, right? But again, that's not objective. Okay, I'm not having a conversation about you using a different like definition of the word objective, right? This is just clearly speaking a different usage of the term. Okay,
well, it's
let's
not
get back
objective.
to the
It's
notion of
true.
whether or not you consider this God to exist when it relates to perfection, right? Do you think that human beings are perfect?
Do I think human? No, I don't.
Okay, if there's a perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
What do you mean?
If there's a perfect test taker, what do you expect
And
to
what?
see?
And what test? And like a written
Like in
test? Like,
general, you expect to see perfect test results, right?
yeah.
Okay, perfect free throw shooter, what do you expect to see?
Perfect.
Perfect free throws made,
Mhm.
right? Perfect creator, what do you expect to see?
Perfection.
Perfect creation, right?
No,
We don't exist in
no.
perfect
I'll tell you
creation,
why. I'll tell you why.
therefore we wouldn't expect the perfect creator, right?
So if we're all perfect, then there would be no point in creating us.
That doesn't make any sense.
It does, because why would we be here if it wasn't for a test? How would we be tested if we're all perfect?
Let me clarify, right? Is God all knowing?
Yeah.
Does God know true facts about the future?
Yes.
Okay, so if God knows true facts about the future, well, then there's going to be a pretty big issue here, right? Because when it relates to this, uh, wait, sorry, can you? Fuck, I literally just oh test, sorry. So if I have like a significant other and I know that they cheated on me, do I need to test them to see if they cheated on me? Is
If
there
you
any reason
know
to
that,
test them?
what
I
do you
already
mean?
know that they cheated on me, right?
Okay.
Do I is there any need for me to test them?
But see,
Is there any
this
reason?
will bring in the debate of free will and unfree will. This brings in a whole nother new thing, and we're straying away far from morality and being gay. So
What
I
was
don't
my
know.
question?
What do you mean?
What was my question?
If your partner cheats on you,
Yeah, what about it?
like, yeah, like, you know they're cheating.
Yeah, and what else?
Yeah, like, you know they're cheating. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, we're not God for
So
us.
if I know that
We're
they
not God for
cheated,
us.
if I know that they already cheated, is there any reason at all that I would need to test them to see if they're cheating on me?
I don't know, because that's what God decides to test
You
us.
don't know? To me, it's
Listen,
like abundantly
you
clear.
can't, bro, because
It's
I'm not
clear
gonna
as
answer your
arrow spring
question.
water.
I'm not gonna answer your question when it's so superficial and it's not like it does not compare to the whole world. It does not compare to us. That question is so superficial. It's like you're comparing God testing us to, oh, I just got cheated on. Like that's so
Chat, I meant
superficial.
to say arrowhead. Please.
Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It's so superficial.
What is super superficial? Like what particularly?
When you say, oh, if I get cheated on, do I have to test that if she cheats on me again? Like, that in itself is so, like, there's
There would
no
be
deeper
see, there's
sense.
no reason to do it, right?
No. That's not my answer. There's no deeper
Absolutely
sense.
zero reason.
There's no deeper sense because when you say it, it's like it's just like strictly like
Applicable to what you said, yeah.
no, it's not applicable to God. It's not applicable to God testing us.
Yeah, it absolutely is. God knows true facts about the future, right? What's the reason why God needs to test us? If God already
So we
knows
can
what's
make
going to happen, what would be the reason to test?
so we
If
can
I
make
was
our
a
own
professor and I
decision.
know exactly all the answers that they've already answered on the test, would I need to test them? No. I know
So
their
we can make our
answers.
own so we can make a decision for ourselves, and God knows what the decision is going to be.
Yeah, God knows what that decision is going to be. The point is that the test is
So God
unnecessary
knows.
and irrelevant, given the fact that the only
Right. So
reason we
God
would
knows.
require a
So God
test. Hold up,
right.
the
So
hold up.
go ahead, Parker. Go ahead.
The only reason that we would require a test is to, like, say, separate categories. Like when we have testing for school, we're saying, oh, what are the A students? What are the B students? What are the C students? When it relates to your notion of God, what people go to hell, what people go to heaven, right? So if it is just based upon determining who goes where, right, and where to group people, then clearly speaking, we already have that knowledge to act upon before actually sending people to Earth. Okay, so
Okay,
there's
but
no
it still
point to
has to
test
happen.
people if God already can separate us based upon groups. That makes no sense.
So what you're saying is that it shouldn't even happen.
Yeah,
So then we
clearly.
shouldn't even be tested.
There's no reason for it to happen because, again, we
Well, the
already
test
know
has
what's
to
going to
happen,
occur.
right? So the test has to happen in order for us to go to where we're supposed to go. The test in itself has to happen
Why does the test have to undergo if we already know?
because if you already know the answer for the test, then you have to. Then the test has to be already done.
No. If I'm a professor, right, and say you're taking a test of mine, right, and I know everything you said on my essay test, word for word, the
How would you
exact
know?
test that you would write, okay? Is there a reason for me to make you take the test to then grade your paper?
Well, we have to take the test in order for us to know what the test results
No.
would be.
Well, no, because I already have the knowledge. Remember, because I'm all knowing.
That bro, you can't compare the
I already
two.
have the knowledge. You're saying that we have to do the test to get the knowledge. We already have the knowledge.
No. There's no. This is different because you're talking about learning and
No,
like
God literally
all
already knows. You're now saying that God had to gain that knowledge, which is not
no.
something that's true under
God
your
God already
worldview.
knows. Yeah, God
Yeah,
already
God
knows.
already knows. So if
But
God
and the
already
test is
knows,
gonna go
there's
through.
no reason at all for God to actually put you through the experience. God already
So
knows
then
how to
so then are you
group
saying
you.
that we should so then are you saying that we should just like all end up in hell or some of us
Yeah,
should be in
that's
heaven without
exactly what should
anything?
have happened.
Without
Right?
anything?
If
Just
it
like
relates to God's notions about what should occur, right?
then why
I
would
don't
we
think that
even
people should go to hell. It doesn't make sense for me to go to hell because I just didn't know that God exists. That just like clearly doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think that's immoral
well
within
that's
respect, right? But we're not
right. Well
talking about
that's
my preferences here. We're
mhm.
talking about an internal critique of your worldview.
Okay. So like the test has to happen in order for the results to come. Like I don't know how that's so difficult.
Okay, again, does God already have what are the results? The results would be like you then having knowledge of what occurred. God already had knowledge of what occurred before this circumstance. So again, there's no need for the results to come in. The results are already there.
Okay, so then we would just be like, if you go to hell, then you just be suffering and you wouldn't understand why you're suffering.
No, no. Again, God can give you that knowledge. God's all knowing, all powerful, and all
So
good,
then,
right?
so God would give you that knowledge on the reason why you're suffering. So that means that we would have to live through our whole life,
You wouldn't have to live through to have
rejected
the
God,
knowledge of what happened.
rejected God, and we would have to sin, do all this, and end up in hell. And we would have the knowledge that we
No, you
decided
know what would
to.
make more sense is if hell didn't exist, right? Maybe hell's a silly concept and you just non-existence, right? But
Why would it make
you're
sense?
committed
Why would it make more sense in your belief?
because they wouldn't have
Why
even
is your
existed
belief?
at this point.
So why is your belief? Why does your belief
I'm
make
talking
more
about
sense?
my own preferences, right?
Why
But I'm
does your own
saying that's
preference?
distinct
Mhm.
from the internal critique because you are committed to the idea that hell exists and hell is eternal conscious torment.
Okay, well, I only believe that hell exists because God told me it exists.
Oh, cool. Well, you don't know it's God. You just a book said it and you decided to believe it, right?
So then who else would it be?
A book. Someone who wrote down
From where?
something in a book.
And it's just like it just so happens to be like perfect, like
It's
linguistically,
not
and like
perfect. It's what you think is perfect.
it
It's your
just so
subjective
happened
opinion. That's
it
literally
just
just
so
your
happened
subjective opinion. I don't think it's
brother, there
perfect.
there
Many
just
other
so
people around
happens
the world don't think it's perfect.
there
Linguistics
just
professionals don't think it's
so
perfect.
Parker, like it
Okay?
just so happens
Name to me modern
Parker,
linguistics professionals that say that it's perfect. I'd
Parker,
love to hear it.
Parker, it just so happens
Secular linguistics
Parker, does
professionals,
it
right?
Parker,
And
does it
scholars that indicate that it's
Parker, one
perfect. I'd
second,
love to see
please.
it once.
Brother, one second. Does it just so happen for it to be linguistically perfect? There's no contradictions in it within it. There's no
There
contradictions.
literally are with reality. Again, I gave you one with historical fact. I gave you
There's
one
no
with scientific
contradictions within
fact.
it,
I
Parker.
gave you one with God being
And
perfect.
it's
We can go over the
legitimately
problem of
linguistically
evil.
perfect. How, like, there's no book that has ever been linguistically perfect, that has never been contradictions within it.
There are many contradictions. I just named multiple that I could reference. We referenced the perfect one. We referenced the historical fact with Jesus' crucifixion. We referenced the scientific fact with where
Parker,
sperm comes from. Is not
Parker,
coming from between the backbone and the rib. It comes from the testes,
all of a sudden
right?
you believe
Problem
that
of
Jesus was
evil.
crucified.
I always have believed Jesus was crucified because that's what the evidence indicates.
According to what?
I don't believe that
What
Jesus
evidence?
was resurrected.
Parker, I could use your same. I could use your
I've already
same.
given you who I reference.
Parker, I could use your same logic and say, "Oh, you weren't there, Parker. Did you see it happen?"
I don't
And
have
even if
to.
you saw it
I
happen,
never made that claim. I'm not saying
and
that I had to
even
see
if
it
you
happen.
saw
I
it,
believe George Washington existed, but I didn't see it
uh-huh.
happen. I believe
Okay,
Jesus existed, and I didn't see it happen. I believe Prophet Muhammad existed, but I didn't see it happen. But that doesn't mean I
okay.
believe in the miracles listed in the Bible, because miracles, by nature, are the least likely things to occur, right? And when we're looking at historical evidence, we're looking
Wow.
for the
So they're
most.
least
Hold up,
likely.
let me finish.
So you said, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
We're looking for the most likely thing to occur. So the most likely thing to occur could never be the least likely thing to occur. It's a
Does that
contradiction within terms.
Parker? Does that mean that the least likely thing to occur can never occur? If the most likely thing is
No, it
always
just means that
so
I
what
would
you're
never
saying,
consider
so
it
what
to
you're
be
saying,
true
Parker.
unless I have better evidence that would indicate that it'd be
So
greater in
Parker,
likelihood,
what you're
right? If something is the least likelihood, there'd be no reason for me to think it's true. You're just saying that you're willing to accept something that is the least in terms of probability to be true. That's a
so then Parker,
incoherent worldview. That's irrational.
why would we accept anything if it was the least thing, if it was the least likely to happen? Why would we accept
Exactly. Why
anything?
would you accept it? So if miracles are the least probable thing to occur, or the least likely thing to occur,
No,
why
I'm
would you even
asking
accept
you.
that they occurred?
Wow. So many things around us, like it's like I don't know how you just can't grasp it because it's just
Me
so like
grasping it, I just explained it to you, and you still accept miracles. You would just agreed. Why would you accept something if it's the least likely thing to occur? You agree miracles are the least
because it
likely
can
thing to occur,
occur.
yet you still accept them.
Because it can
It
occur.
can occur, right? But it's least likely to occur. So why would you accept the thing that's the least in terms of probability to occur?
Because it's least, just because you think it's the least doesn't mean it can't occur.
I'm not
Who put
saying it
you?
can't occur. I'm saying
Who
there's
put
no
you?
reason to
Who
accept it
put
in
you?
terms of what you consider to
Parker.
be true
Actually,
because
sorry,
it is the least probable thing to be true.
sorry,
If I
sorry,
told
Parker.
you
Who put
that there's
you?
25, hold up. If I told you that there's 25 balls in this bag, right? One out of the 25 is yellow. The rest of them,
No,
right, the
that's an
rest of
irrational
them are
comparison.
red. Okay.
That's an
If
irrational
would you
comparison.
accept that it's yellow?
That's an irrational
It's the least
comparison.
likely one to occur. Would you accept it?
It's the irrational comparison.
No, it's because I'm showing the irrationality of
No,
accepting that
you
reasoning.
comparing them is irrational.
No, it's not.
It
How is it
truly is,
irrational?
Parker. It truly is. Because who put you in charge to say that miracles are the least likely thing to happen?
That's literally by the definition. Do you define them differently?
What was that?
Do you define them differently? How do you define a miracle?
Bro, what do you mean do you find them differently? Who put you in charge? Like whether you
I'm
call it a
asking, what's your
miracle,
definition? Just clarify.
whether you call it a miracle, whether you call it an act of God, whether you call it a sign, um, something from God, it doesn't matter what it is. Who put you in
No, I'm
charge?
asking, how do you define it so that we can have a common conversation about the terms that we're
It
using?
doesn't matter what I define
It
miracle
literally
as.
does. We're
It
having a
doesn't have
conversation right now.
because a miracle could be many
What?
things.
Okay,
You
I'm
could
asking
use a
you what you
miracle.
consider a
You could
miracle.
use, brother. You can use
Cool, it
miracle
could
in
be
many
many
senses.
things. A dog could be many things. I'm asking you what you consider to be it, okay?
Well, it doesn't have to be a miracle. It could be an act from God.
I'm just asking you,
You
what do you
understand?
consider a miracle?
Okay, you're looking at it from the surface level. You're looking at
No,
it
I'm
from the surface
asking you,
level.
dude, just answer my question, bro.
Brother, I wouldn't need to answer your question because it doesn't have to be a miracle.
You're like dodging like a politician, bro. Just answer the damn
Bro, I'm not
question.
dodging because I don't
No,
need
you
to
literally
answer it
are,
because
bro. This is a basic question. What is a miracle?
I wouldn't need to answer it because it doesn't have to be a
Omar,
miracle.
I'm giving you a huge space to be able to say what you want. If you don't answer my question, I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to continue having a conversation with you. I really don't.
Parker,
Trying to be
Parker,
nice, man. I really am.
listen, I
But
understand.
you're literally avoiding it like you're fucking
I'm
literally Joe
Parker, I'm
Biden.
not because let me tell you, because it doesn't have to be a miracle. That's the
What is a
thing.
miracle? Just tell me what a miracle is.
I don't know the textbook definition. What do you got? Like, I don't know the
Just
textbook
how are
definition.
you referencing it? Like when you say the word miracle, what do you mean?
I don't know. Like, it's a miracle. Like, what do you want me to say?
You don't even know what you mean by it.
I understand what, and myself, I know what a miracle is.
So
But
then
I'm saying that
tell me what you mean by it.
because it happens, it doesn't have to be a miracle.
I'm just
It
asking,
could
can
be
you
an
tell me
act
what
from
you
God.
mean by it? You're saying the term a lot, right? What is a miracle?
A miracle is something that, I don't know, that comes from God. A
Something
miracle
that comes from
is
God.
something that,
So
let me
so
finish. Brother, let me
anything that
finish.
exists, right, is a
Bro,
miracle. A rock
actually,
existing is a
yeah.
miracle.
Actually, yes. For us to be here, it's a
Okay,
miracle.
then it's a meaningless term. If everything is a miracle, it's meaningless.
It's a miracle in the sense that we were here based on God making us here, allowing us to be here.
Allowing us to be here. Again, you understand every single thing created by God is a miracle under your view, and therefore the term is utterly meaningless.
Okay, then. But what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't have to be a miracle for it to happen from God. So what I mean is that just because, let's say, okay, hypothetically, let's say you believe that Moses split the sea. Hypothetically, okay, that doesn't have to be a miracle. A miracle in your sense would be that, oh, like it's so unlikely to happen and it's so far from the truth. You're
Yeah,
looking at
like
it
when we're
from
talking about
one second,
Jesus'
brother. One
resurrection,
second, brother.
right? When we're
Parker, one
talking about
second,
Jesus'
brother. One
resurrection is
second, Parker.
unlikely to happen,
Parker,
right?
one
So
second.
if we
One
see that
second.
to be the case, it
Parker,
is
let me finish real
evident
quick.
of a
Let me finish
supernatural
real quick,
occurrence.
Parker. Let me
That's what
finish real
people are
quick.
saying.
So you would not call it a miracle if you were there and saw it happen, because it's very likely that what your eyes saw was true. So it would be an act of God because it was through God that that action happened. So when you say it's a miracle, okay, I'll define a miracle for you. A miracle is something that's very, very, you're right, unlikely to happen. Okay, cool. Miracle is very unlikely to happen. That doesn't mean that just because it happened, it's a miracle. It's an act from God. I was using the wrong language the whole time. Okay, I was using the wrong language the whole time. I'll admit, it's an act from God. There it is. I'm on it. I'm on it. It's an act from God. And just because it happened doesn't mean it's very, very unlikely to happen. It happened because God allowed it to happen. And it's an act from God himself.
So it's not a highly improbable event. It's just an act of God.
Why would it have to be a highly improbable event for it to be an act of God?
No, like when we were referencing a miracle, we're referencing like Jesus' resurrection.
No,
Jesus'
I was wrong.
resurrection is a highly improbable event that God like ensued. So you could have a notion of it's highly improbable and it results from God.
Well, I was
That's kind
wrong.
of like the
I was
notion of
wrong.
a miracle.
I was wrong for calling it a miracle. It's an act of God.
What is the act of God again?
A thing that happens based on what God wills to happen. So a thing that happened and we are ignorant to understanding that it could happen, but it happens based on God's want for it to happen. So
It
if
happens based on
Moses,
God wants it
so
to
if
happen.
Moses, if Moses just hit his staff in the sea and God didn't want it to happen, God did not want him to split the sea, then it wouldn't have happened, and it would not have been an act of God. But because God wanted it to happen, Moses was able to hit to hit his
Yeah, but it's something
hit
like
the stick and the sea
supernatural,
would
right?
split. What
Like
was that?
we wouldn't call like just anything like a miracle. You'd call something like a child being saved from cancer, or you'd say like the parting of the Red
That's
Sea,
why,
right?
yeah,
Because these are highly improbable events. Okay,
that's why I
so if these are
redacted my
highly improbable events,
that's why I
right?
redacted
Or
my that's
the
why I
least.
redacted my claim. That's why I redacted
So do you consider it
my
to be the
answer
least
based
probable
on
thing to
miracle.
happen now?
What was that?
So do you consider a miracle to be one of the least probable things to happen?
Yeah, but I also am saying that I was using the word miracle wrong the whole time.
Okay.
So it's an act of God. And it happened because God wanted it to happen. It doesn't matter if it's improbable. It still happened because God wanted it to happen. Do you see where I'm coming
No,
at?
you're saying that, but that's your assumption because you have faith. When I'm looking at this from whether or not the belief is justified, I'm looking at what's most probable.
Okay. All right. So you're looking at it from what's most probable. Then why isn't everybody just, why doesn't everybody not believe it?
Believe what?
That that if it's the most probable thing, then it's true. Because if
I think
everybody
people
believes
do. I think people
because
do believe that.
if everybody
Wait,
believes it,
Omar, that is literally what people believe. It's just we
so if
don't
it's
talk about it and we don't use that
so
that terminology all the time.
Parker, if everybody believes that it's true because of the most
It's not
probable thing,
everyone, but I do believe most
right?
people.
But I'm saying if I'm saying hypothetically. I'm not saying that people do.
Okay.
Hypothetically, if everybody believed that it's true because it's the most probable thing, then nobody would believe in anything unless they see it. Because if a car crash happened at 5 o'clock p.m., I would not believe it unless I saw it, because I wasn't there. The most probable thing for it to happen is that I saw it and I looked at my watch, it was 5 p.m. But I would still believe it because all right, like a car crash happened at 5 p.m. Like, okay, like I understand that. But if people always acted in the way that you're saying and they wouldn't believe it if it's not the most probable thing, then nobody would believe anything.
What are you talking about? Like, I literally got into a car crash. That's evident. That's literally most.
No, no,
That's
no,
what
no,
happened.
no. I added extra details. I said 5 p.m. Now, it could have been at 5:01 p.m. It could have been at 5:02 p.m., right? And I could be like, oh, well, I don't believe, how is it probable that it happened at 5 p.m.? Okay, there was a car crash, but it could have happened at 5:01 p.m. Do you see where I'm coming at?
Oh, you were saying it was more probable in one sense to happen at a particular time. Therefore, you believe that it happened then.
No, what I'm saying is that it does not, that it doesn't have to be the more probable thing for it to happen. And if everybody believed that it didn't happen because it's not the most probable thing, then nobody would believe anything. Nobody would believe, like I could tell you, I just got a watch right now. Nobody would believe if
Yeah,
you
you don't believe in things until you have evidence of things, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I would argue. You shouldn't believe in something until you have evidence.
until you have evidence. So what can the evidence be? Like evidence that, can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you think it? Like what
There could be
type of
different
evidence?
types of ways of accruing evidence. Like seeing could be one way. I mean, like obviously using your different senses could be ways in which you access that information. Confused what your
All
point
right.
is though.
So when you say free will, can you see free will? Can you feel free will? What evidence do you have that we have free will? What evidence do you have that we don't have free will? Do you understand? Like, just
It's a
because you
comparative
don't,
hypothesis. So we would just say, given that we have commitments to say things like personal responsibility, stuff like that, and our ability to act differently, clearly speaking, that would indicate to me that there's a notion of free will that exists there in terms
well, free
of
will could
the
exist.
ability
Well,
to act differently than we
mhm.
did.
Then we did what?
There's the ability to act differently than we did. That's what I consider free will.
So act differently from within each other, right?
Hmm?
Act differently, like between each other as people, or
Act
act
differently
differently.
than we did. Like when I'm saying that, I mean like this morning I could have eaten Lucky Charms instead of say Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay, but you chose to eat Lucky Charms, right?
Well, I didn't eat cereal, but I'm just saying like yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm understanding your hypothetical like situation here. So let's say you chose to eat Lucky Charms. That would be free will, right?
Yeah, I believe in free will.
Okay. So what happens if you chose? How do you know that that was your free will and it was not destined the whole time for it to happen?
Oh, I'm a compatibilist.
You're not what?
I'm a compatibilist.
What do you mean by that?
So I'm a determinist, and I believe in free will.
What do you mean by determinist? I'm not really like, I don't know a lot of these
There's going to be like an
terms.
antecedent set of conditions or prior set of conditions in which lead to these particular types of events occurring, right? All my notion of free will here is that I just could have done differently than I did, acting upon differently from my desires or whatnot, or acting in accordance with my desires, not differently.
So based on your desires, you can make the assumption that you just have free will and like you could do whatever. And
No. I'm saying you act in accordance with your desires. That was a descriptive claim.
well, then how do you know that your desires are also free will? How do you know that?
What do you mean by free will? I'm not saying that
Like
there's like
how do you know
no
that?
outside determinant because I am saying that determinism is true. I'm just saying that you have the ability to do differently.
Right, but if you're saying your free will is based on your desires, then how do you know is your free will to have that desire in the beginning?
How do you know is your free will? I don't think we necessarily choose our desires.
So it
I
wouldn't
don't
be free
believe in
will.
libertarian free will. I believe in compatibilist sense of free will.
So then it wouldn't be free will if we don't choose
No,
our desires.
not under a libertarian free will sense, but it is free will under a compatibilist sense.
But you still wouldn't think it would be free will because it's already
I
it's already
literally am
happened.
describing it in free will, right? But free will in a compatibilist sense, not in a libertarian free will sense.
Okay, so I just like if you look at it like this, if you look at it like how do you know that God did not put that free like if how do you know that God did not make you have that desire
I
and
don't
then
believe in God.
it just wouldn't be free will. Sorry,
I
hypothetically.
think there's a contradiction in your worldview.
And what?
I think there's a contradiction in your worldview.
Which is?
We can relate to the problem of evil. We can relate to the perfect argument. We can relate to contradictions with our commitments in terms of historical and scientific fact.
Okay, so what does that have to do with free will?
You were just bringing up a notion in which we talk about God, and you did the same thing earlier. You were like everything else is like not even possible, so I just did the same thing.
Bro, you're like going in circles right now. Like what do you mean like everything else? Like what I'm saying is that how do you know that God did not give you that desire and that's just not your free will. That's just given to you from God. So then it wouldn't be free will.
Well, that would be because like okay, there's a way you can differentiate between this when it relates to this. And that's based upon like an outside actor's influence. Right. So you could say that free will is the ability to do differently without impediment by another actor. Right. Because, like, for example, right, there'd be a sense of like coercion removing your free will. Right. Like
Hmm.
if someone puts a gun to your head and says, choose this or that. Right. You don't really have, or if someone puts a gun to your head and says, do this. You didn't really have a choice between doing it or not doing it. You kind of were forced because you were coerced by another actor.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, I
Right. So
see what
that
you mean.
removes like a sense
I
of free
see.
will in that
Hmm.
sense.
I see what you mean. So then that means free will is not completely based on your desires. So let's say I don't
You
want to
believe
do
in
something.
libertarian free will. You have a different notion.
So then let's say I don't want to do a certain thing, but somebody puts a gun to my head and he says you have to do it. I have the free will to not to do it. I have the free will not to do it.
Oh no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that's a notion of free will. If you want to believe that's a notion of free will, go for it. But
Well, by what you're saying, I have a free will not to do it.
this part isn't relevant to the conversation, though.
It really isn't because we strayed away a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Um, if you want to relate to the contradictions in your worldview, right? I've already listed a few, right? We can go through them more if you would like, right? But if there is a contradiction in your worldview, there's no reason to consider being gay to be wrong or immoral.
How come?
Well, because there's a contradiction in your worldview. That is the basis of considering it to be wrong or immoral.
No. I'm asking you, like, how come being gay is not immoral or moral? How come it's just something normal
It's just my preference. It
based
just
on?
relates to my preference. I wouldn't see a reason to treat like an individual who is gay differently from anyone else, as every single human being on the planet, right? We are more similar than we are different, right? So my operating assumption is that I'm going to treat people the same until there's good reason to treat them differently. There's
Okay,
not a
so
good reason to
what?
treat people differently
Why
when
is
it
it
relates to this scenario. Therefore, there'd be no reason to do so.
so Parker? Why is it okay
Why is what okay?
being gay?
Why, there's no issue
To who?
to me. No reason that you can give me that there's an issue.
So then, by what you're saying, by your logic, I could say the same thing for I don't know a lot of things like people that do stuff with animals. Let's say you why is that
That's
wrong?
grape.
Tell me.
It's grape.
And who's like understanding and whose definition? I know it is. I know
Anyone's.
it
It's
is. I know it's wrong.
non-consensual intercourse. It's you consider non-consensual intercourse to be grape.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that how come like just because okay it's consensual. So then the same thing for underage kids.
Yeah, non-consensual intercourse. It's immoral.
Well, they gave consent.
The children. I don't think children can consent to adults because there's
To
a
who?
power dynamic.
Given to who? Based on
Um,
who?
what do you mean based on
Based on
based
what?
upon my notions? I don't believe they have the rational capacity to consent like meaningfully to a circumstance like
So
that.
does that mean they just automatically get the rational capacity the day they turn 18?
That would be like a place in which, like an arbitrary standpoint in which we place it. Right,
So
but it
then
would be
how would
developed
you
through biologically at different times within different people. But we have a
right?
particular
So then
notion or age
Mhm.
to take into account, like what percentage of people would be at this point by this particular time, and 18 seems to be the time in which people are okay with it.
So if they weren't at that point by 18, then would it be rape? Grape?
If you could have some sort of way to like figure that out, and it was like solely dependent upon biological characteristics, under someone's view, yes, it would be considered that, but not under the person's view that considers it just based upon the age of 18.
So then, would you consider the same thing for other countries and with different laws?
What do
So
you
like,
mean?
let's say the country's consent age is 16. Would you consider it grape if
Under their notions, right? I think grape can extend through many circumstances
mhm.
in which are illegal still in like the world. There are many circumstances where grape is legal, like statutory grape. So
Right. So
even in the
what is
U.S.,
stopping? So like when you say like at 18, it's the most reasonable. So then what is stopping another country that has its laws to be at 16 for it not to be grape?
like what's the distinction between the two? They're arbitrary limits.
Like what?
What do you mean? An arbitrary limit is just saying that they have two separate ages set for it. Let's say that there's likely speaking more development. We probably have studies to indicate that there's more development when it relates to 18-year-olds and their ability to meaningfully consent to circumstances than 16-year-olds, clearly.
So then do you believe that if it was if you were in a country and it was 16 years old, then would it be grape?
Yeah,
How come?
that's under my notion.
Under your notion that you grew up with
Yeah.
from childhood
Mm-hmm.
because you grew up in a country that said it was 18.
No, because of my own definition.
But if you grew up in a country that said it was 16, your own definition would be 16. You
If
wouldn't
if
make your
if
own
if
definition.
if I was born in a different society, I might be socialized to believe different things. What's your point?
Because that you're socialized to believe that it's 18. I don't listen. I know that it's
I
18.
have reason and evidence to believe that like this is a good sort of standpoint.
Okay,
It's
so it's
not
like
just it's not just
that's
like I just
that's
like
that's
went.
from you. That's from you. Some people could like what's going on? What are you doing?
I was making like an analogy. It's not like I'm going like right like there's reasons why.
So then like some people would consider what if people in a different society consider 18 to be grape? Consider if they're 18 and if they're not above 21 or if they're not above 20, what
That would
would
be their
make you the
definition.
one? Hmm?
That would be their definition.
And what makes their definition incorrect?
I don't think it's incorrect. That's just different than how I'm using the term.
So then what makes 16 incorrect? See, you
Well,
see
I
the
would say
fallacy?
there is no fallacy, right? It's not
There is.
necessarily incorrect in terms of definitional standpoints.
Then
It's
how is
just
it
something I
incorrect?
disagree with.
So then would you disagree with the 20? If they were 20, if they're under 20, oh, like it's illegal. Then would you
Um, I could have notions of like people who are way older than 20 like not being able to engage, but I think typically speaking like the age to like engage in intercourse with people who are relatively older, 18 be relatively fine. But yeah, I think that there should be like some sort of like leniency when it relates to that. We need, or not leniency, some sort of like a regulatory policy that relates to that type of stuff. But I don't see how this is relevant.
Yeah, I think we strayed far from the first topic.
Appreciate that,
But
mustache. Thank you.
what I'm trying to say is that what you believe and what you believe is 18, and I believe it too. And I understand that I'm believing it because it's from my society.
Omar Bice, I just want to say, what is a fallacy?
Fallacy is like an incorrect or like a contradiction between an argument.
It's not a contradiction, no.
What isn't?
A logical fallacy is going to relate to like historically like flawed and bad reasoning,
Yeah,
right?
so I just said it incorrect.
That's so that's flawed doesn't mean contradictory. Okay, so
It
they're
would
not
be it would
necessarily
be flawed
contradictory. You can
if it
hold a
was contradictory.
logical you can hold a logical naturalistic
So
fallacy,
so
right?
Parker, if it was
And
contradictory, then it would be incorrect.
if it was contradictory, it would be incorrect. But the thing is,
Yeah.
logical fallacies are not contradictory. Okay, they can be
Yeah, but I said
not in
incorrect.
terms of logic. They can be
I said
contradictory in
incorrect.
terms of our own like personal commitments.
I said incorrect though. I don't know what
That's
like
you said contradictory after.
you asked me what does fallacy mean? Like what's your point?
You were using it earlier, right? And you were
You
using
just
it to
wanted to make
relate to
sure like
like,
I wasn't like
yeah,
that. I just
I was
wasn't
just, I'm
driving.
clarifying the terminology. I don't think you were using it correctly. That's why.
I think I was, but it's
You
like
clearly weren't.
okay, all right, no problem. Whatever you say, Parker. But what I'm trying to say is that you cannot make your own subjective morality, because if we all did that, then there would be tragedy of the commons, and we would not. None of us would. We would all just make our own subjective morality, and we would just all say like, "Hey, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I don't care." We would just all do that, and there would be havoc. There would be mayhem. So like when you say there's subjective morality and it's all right,
This is literally what we do, and this is nothing to do with the truth value of the claim.
what do you mean?
This is absolutely nothing to do with the truth value of the claim of whether or not one is true and the other one's not. These are practical concerns that we
That's why,
actually do see within
right?
our reality. We
That's
literally do
why
see
we
these
have to
practical
have.
concerns amongst
Mhm.
democratic institutions. Okay,
Okay, so
and for you
Parker,
to
that's why
deny
we
this
have
is
to
like
have.
utterly
That's
absurd.
why
Let's
we
be
have to
totally
have.
fucking real.
That's why we have to have a handbook or a stencil to go by, because we might not see that it's logical.
Yeah, I'm not going by God, bro. Like, can you just like again, right? There's contradictions in your worldview. I'm not gonna go by something I think is contradictory.
Then
That
what are you
makes
gonna go
absolutely
by?
no
Because
sense.
you because
Dude,
because
if you
Parker
want to relate to the morals, I don't think the morals
because God
of
because
this
Parker
religion are very good either, right? I can relate to the morals being
because
terrible. The
because
entire chat
Parker,
would look at it as bad,
you
right?
yourself, have you ever contradicted yourself
Yeah, in my life,
in
I've
your life?
contradicted myself, yes.
So then why would you go by your own morality if you've contradicted yourself and you've made mistakes
Because
before
I've moved past those different types of
and
contradictions.
one day and there's been a day in your life where you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. What what allows you to still use your own morality when you know
Mary, I
that you're
appreciate the
imperfect?
subscription. Thank you so much.
What causes you to use your own morality when you know that you yourself are imperfect? What like how could you have that
Everyone's
high
imperfect.
ground
I don't give a
and
fuck if
say
you think I'm imperfect, right? Having a sense of that you are perfect or that whatever you believe is perfect is utterly incoherent and gibberish, okay?
so
You
then
are
what
not
you're
100% accurate about your beliefs. You're not 100% knowledgeable about your beliefs, right? That is not the case in many scenarios, okay?
so then you're not 100% knowledgeable. Sorry, not knowledgeable.
No,
You're not,
not on a
I'm not
lot of
100%
beliefs,
knowledgeable,
yes.
and you're not
Right? We
knowledgeable,
use
and you're not 100%
confidence
knowledgeable.
intervals, right? We
What I
use
mean is that you're not. Are
probability,
you
right?
100%?
To indicate what we
Do
consider to be
you?
true.
So do you believe do you think what you believe is 100% true?
When it relates to most things, no, right? But there, I mean, sure, there are some things that are necessary facts, right? But like when it relates to like certainty, I'm not certain of most things, right? Most claims when it relates to statistics or relates to science, these aren't 100% claims. These are claims like 99% or 95% or something like that, right? We're not making 100% type claims here. And there's no need to be 100% in terms of your claims, right? That's again why I would relate to the idea that in terms of knowledge or proof, it would relate to what's most likely to be true, right? And that's a standard we go off of within almost any field.
Okay, so when I say that, like what I mean is that Parker, because because somebody can have an imperfection in their own belief, that means that we have to have some type of stencil to go by because we might have some imperfection. So when you live your life, Parker, you can say that you believe, and this is hypothetical, you can say that you believe that I don't know, arson. You can say that arson is moral. And that's hypothetical. You can tell yourself that it's moral and you could believe that it's 100% correct. That's why the United States Constitution is there to tell you it's not and you cannot do it. That's why it's a stencil. So even if we believe that it's moral,
You want to talk about moral absurdities? I can give you the biggest moral absurdity right now. I don't think you want to make this argument.
so what I'm saying, Parker, is that
Do you
you
want
can
to go through
believe that it's
no. Do you
so
want to go
Parker,
through
one
moral
second.
absurdities?
1 second, brother. So what you could believe is that it's moral in your own subjective view, right? You can believe it's moral in your own subjective view, in your own of vision. You can see that it's moral and it's all right because you know you just believe that. But that's why we have laws. That's why there's a stencil to tell us that it's not okay. We cannot do that. And by no means am I saying the United States Constitution is perfect, but I'm saying that it's there as a stencil for us just as the Quran is there and the religion that I believe in is there for a stencil to guide us so we can all believe in one ruling. So we don't have any opinion or we have no argument on which ruling is correct, whose opinion is better, who's this, who's that. We all go back to one opinion, one ruling, and that's how it is. We all follow it to the T. We all follow it, and we cannot argue on it. But when you say that subjective morality is all right, and there's big room for argument, big room for opinion, because I could say in my opinion this thing is correct, another person could say in my opinion this thing is incorrect, and there would not be any order. There would all just be 100% liberty. 100% liberty, 100% personal liberty, and we live in a 100% libertarian society, and there would be no rules, no order. Everybody would die because everybody wants to work in their own best interest, and as a result of everybody working in their own best interest, we'd run out of everything. We'd run out of food, water. Anyways, I'm straying from the point. What I mean is that when
Yeah,
you
all of these
all
were
work,
assumptions were incorrect. Like, I'm sorry.
what was that,
Even in
Parker?
that type of society, those assumptions were incorrect. To be totally fucking for real. But like,
Those
that's
assumptions
not
are
relevant to the
incorrect.
conversation. We can talk about economics on a different time.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand. And yes, I understand. But what I'm saying, I was using it as an example that if you use subjective
hold up.
morality,
If you have subjective morality too. I literally, Omar, I don't want to go over the same thing a million times. We've already gone over this. You use objectively different than everyone else is using it. Your notion
I
of
really am not
objective is literally,
because if you
Omar,
believe my
man.
subjective morality is
Your notion of objective, Omar, is compatible with a subjective notion of morality, right? We already have gone over this. We've gone over for 30 minutes, literally the exact same thing, right? And I actually like I don't want to go over the same thing over and over again, right? It's kind of bullshit. If you want to talk about moral absurdities, right? I can just ask you like a very very simple question, right? Do you think the Prophet Muhammad can sin?
Parker. Can you hear me?
Did you hear my question?
Hear me, Parker?
Did you hear my question?
So you heard me. So what I'm saying
Did
is
you
that
hear my question?
Parker, I was not done. So
Okay,
Parker,
well,
what I'm trying
I
to say,
honestly, Omar, I don't care. Answer my question.
Parker, I was not done. So what I'm saying, your objective when I
Okay, Omar, I'm going to ask you the question again, right? Okay. I listened. I gave you time to speak. He just left. Okay. All right. Honestly, I'm down with that. Fuck yeah. Let's go to the next person. Tap the screen, everyone. Let's try to get to 250,000 likes. If you disagree, send a guest request right now. If you want to help get it out to more people, share the live. Let's try to get to 250 shares. We'll help get it out to more people. I think that's utterly ridiculous, bro. Like, bro is like honestly rambling. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. We're gonna go to the next person. Again, only send a guest request if you disagree. By the way, everyone, we are on my second account right now because we got suspended on my main account for quote unquote misinformation. Um, so I will be back there by the 22nd, everyone. But yeah, let me go to the next person, y'all. All right, let's get to the next person. All right. Give it a second, everyone. Everyone, in the meantime, you can follow me if you haven't already. Everyone, it helps me come on here every day, especially on my second account right now when I'm suspended. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, my only question is, why are we discussing this? Why is being gay wrong? Like, you want to be gay, be gay. Nobody's discussing if being straight is wrong or right. Like, it's just what you prefer and that's what you do. Nobody
Yeah,
needs to.
because there hasn't been discrimination targeted towards straight people on the basis of them being straight for
Discrimination
generations
by
upon
who?
generations.
Uh, isn't it like you do what you want to do anymore?
What are you talking about?
Well, if you want to be gay, you be gay. Nobody's stopping you, right?
Yeah, there are also not many people that think that being straight is wrong, right? But there are many people that think that being gay is wrong, right? And that's the basis of these different types of acts of discrimination targeted towards gay people, as it's the basis of treating people differently than you treat yourself.
No, so I'm probably with you on this page. Like, if you want to be what you want to be, just so be it. Don't force it on my child or anything, but you can be it if you want to be
I'm
it,
not
right?
forcing it. No one's forcing anything on your child, right? We're saying to accept gay
Yeah.
people, right? No one's
So
saying you
being
should be
gay is
gay.
not wrong. Being gay is not wrong, but forcing it on other people is wrong. Is what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
all.
forcing straight people is wrong on children, and that's actually what's been happening throughout society,
Same
right?
thing. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no one's arguing to like that people should be gay. I'm straight. I'm not arguing for people to be gay.
Okay, you just want to see why is it wrong?
No, I'm arguing against people that think it's wrong because I think it's harmful for society to believe that it's wrong to be gay without any type of justification.
So your questioning is why is it wrong, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree that it's wrong or right? What do you think?
I don't think it's wrong or right to be gay in of itself. I don't think it's wrong or right to be straight in of itself. I think it's morally neutral. The same way like me picking up a rock from the ground is morally neutral. It's not the case that I should or shouldn't do this.
Okay, so what's this discussion about then? Like everybody's on the same page. Like
I
you
just
do
told
what
you
you want.
I'm debating people who think that it's immoral.
All right, have fun.
Okay. I can't do it, chat. Tap that screen, everyone. Tap that screen. Yeah, I don't even know. Okay. All right, let's go to the next person again. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We're just looking for some debates, everyone. We've been on for what, an hour and 48 minutes. We're gonna be on for a while, everyone.
Hello.
Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 17.
You gotta be 18 plus. TikTok rules, not
All
mine.
right, it's cool.
18 plus, everyone. TikTok rules. 18 plus, y'all. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We're just looking for some debates, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Okay. Let's go to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We're just looking for some debates, everyone. If you want to help get it out to more people, share the live. Let's try to get to 500 shares. If you want to help tap the screen, everyone, it'll help get out to more people. If you haven't followed me on this account yet, make sure to follow me. I do go live every single day. We did get suspended on my main, so I should be back there by the 22nd, everyone. It should be Friday. So yeah, make sure to look out for that, everyone. In the meantime, I'm going to be here until then. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hi, Parker.
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Hey, there's a lot of buzzing. Is there a way you can fix the buzzing or static?
Okay, let me check. Still there?
Yeah, it's still there. Sounds like you're running a lawnmower to your phone.
Okay, now?
No, it's still there.
What is going on?
Hey, man, if you could fix it and come back on later, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Okay.
Shit, I don't even know that happened. That was fucking wild. Bro has like those like electricity
Keeps
like machines on. Thank you for the look around. I
he
appreciate it.
just
Yo, what's up? How
accepted
old
my
are you?
request, but I'm not joining it. Obviously, just
Hello?
to join it.
How old are you? Are you there, bro?
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, all right. Hello? How old are you?
Oh yeah. I'm 20.
Yeah, do you believe that being gay is wrong or immoral?
No, I don't think it's. I don't really think people should think that it's wrong. I just think you should just live your life the way you want to live it.
Do you think it's
That's what
wrong
we
to
think.
engage in gay intercourse?
Well, I think it's wrong. I mean, me personally, I mean, it's not really any of my business what somebody else wants to do.
For sure. Thank you so much. Just looking for people who disagree, everyone. Just looking for some debates. You, what's up? How old are you? I can't hear you. Your mic is extraordinarily low. Okay, someone dropped their phone on the fucking literal bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. That is unbelievable. I'm sorry. They were like traveling through space-time. Like literally fucking tripping through dimensions. That is wild. It's one of those days. It really is. It really is. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
18, bro.
For sure. Do you believe that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yes.
What's your birth
Well,
year?
it's I don't think it's wrong, cause
And what's your birth year? That's tough, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. Thick. They don't teach kids quick maths anymore. It's all calculators. That's why they can't do it. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Oh wait,
Uh,
hi. Sorry, wait. Can you
yeah.
hear
How
me?
old are you?
I'm 20.
Yeah. Do you
I'm
think that
sorry,
being
I
gay is
think
wrong or immoral?
no, I don't think so.
All right. I'm just
I
looking for
don't
some
think it's
debates, but I
about
appreciate you
yeah.
coming on.
Sorry.
Only send a guest request if you disagree, y'all. Just looking for some debates, everyone. Give it a second, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 24 years. How old are you?
Yeah. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yes, I think it's very wrong.
Why so?
Because there's a real reason why they are male and female.
And what's that reason?
And because God created two animals, male and female. So, what is the reason for a male to sleep with another male?
For pleasure, for expression of love.
No, that's wrong. You can't justify bad things in an excuse of saying for pleasure and love.
Why is it
Because
bad?
it's actually very simple. Are you a Christian, first of all?
No, I'm not. Are you Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Yeah, so I have a question. Do you think that God is a perfect creator?
Yes, he's a perfect creator.
Yeah, so I have a question about that. If there's a
Yeah.
perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
Can you come again?
If there's a perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
Okay, I'm not so good in English, so can you make it an easier question? Because I was not born in England, or I'm actually an African.
To be totally real, if I think that this conversation is probably not going to work, then it seems like there's pretty big of a language barrier then. So I do appreciate you coming on, Carlos. It was good talking to you, man.
Okay,
Thank you so
thank you.
much. All right, let's go to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We're just looking for some debates, everyone. Just looking for some debates. Wow, Parker, that was rude. How was that rude? What? That's just making sure that we don't like. How is that rude? That's literally just like saying we don't communicate if we can't communicate if there's a language barrier. That's all there is. Um, yo, what's up?
What's up? I'm 26.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
The main thing is that you can't produce life when you're having gay sex.
Okay, so
That's
is
the
it
only
is it
reason
a
why it would be wrong. Because in a perfect society, only straight society, you will have children. But in an only gay society, you won't have children. So that's the only logical reasoning for why it would be wrong. But outside of that, everybody does
is it
what they
wrong
want.
to have oral?
No, that's all for
So
pleasure.
if there was a society where straight people only had oral, they wouldn't reproduce.
Yeah, I agree. They wouldn't reproduce.
But
And
so
that
is
would
it
be a problem.
immoral?
There wouldn't be a society anymore.
So is it immoral to get oral because if in a society where only people engaged in oral, it would be wrong, like there would be reproduction?
No. It's not really that it's immoral. I wouldn't say that it's immoral. The only reason why I'd say it's like it would be a problem or it would be wrong is because you can't produce children. And that desire to produce children, it exists in everybody, even gay people. So I
So
mean,
it's wrong.
not that it's wrong. It's just it would be wrong in a sense of trying to create a society and have a human race. If everybody was to be gay in this human race,
Yeah, but that
we
doesn't
would
relate
be
to
fucked.
individuals, right?
No, yeah. It doesn't relate to the world we're living in either. Like,
Yeah,
so,
so like here, so clearly speaking, most people aren't going to be gay, right? One, two, people who are gay have kids, right? They can have kids through IVF, right? In vitro fertilization and surrogacy, right? So like in the adoption as well, right? So clearly speaking, there still is production within society that's from gay people, right? It's not like absolutely nothing. The same way that there are people who are celibate who still produce families.
So, would you consider it like, I mean, I guess it wouldn't really be a problem, right, if everybody was to be gay and then be impregnating like, robots or something
No,
to
gay
make
men produce
children.
the
Oh, you
sperm,
think
and,
that's
and lesbian women would produce the eggs, right? And
yeah.
I mean, a society of all gay people could easily function.
So like straight, but with more steps.
That's not straight. There's no sex there from straight
Right,
intercourse.
right. Okay, fair enough. But like, impregnating, but with more steps.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
get,
well, we
what
currently
you
do that
mean.
right now with straight individuals, even.
Yeah, okay, good point. Good point. Well, yeah, that was the only argument I had against it, and honestly, I knew it didn't stand. So,
All right.
yeah, I
Appreciate you
like the
coming on.
program. Take care. Peace.
All right, everyone. If you like the content, follow me. If you're ready, tap that screen if you want to see some debates. Let's go on to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. Just looking for some debates, y'all. Just looking for some debates. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 18.
What's your birth year?
Huh?
What's your birth year?
2005.
I'm sorry, chat. He had good math, but I'm sorry. Let's be so fucking for real. Let's be so fucking for real, chat. That's cap. Hey, at least he got the math right. You know what I mean? He could get the math right, and he didn't even sound old enough. You know what I mean? That was wild, right? Like other people who are even closer in age, right, to 18, couldn't even get the age right. In terms of the birth year. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Someone said maybe he had a young voice. Maybe I don't think it could be that young, right? Like if that was actually just someone's voice, I would feel really bad. Okay. For some reason, it's not accepting this person. I'm going to go into the next one again. Only send a guest request if you disagree, y'all. Someone said 2005 would make him 20. You cannot do math. Lamawi said he was 14. Oh, I could see that, honestly. Of course, of course. All right, only send a guest request if you disagree, everyone. Again, everyone, we are going to be back on my main account within the next few days, 5 days or so. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Yo, I'm 18. I was born in 2005.
For sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yeah, I think it's wrong.
Why so?
So I just want to establish, first of all, so our sense of morality, our sense of right and wrong, can you agree that that comes from a higher being? Not necessarily a god from a certain religion, but you don't think that you don't think we have morality? What do you think that's based
I believe
off
in
of?
morality. I think it's true dependent upon our stances, though.
But how do we get our stances?
Moral intuitions, empathy, rationality.
And where does that come from?
Biology.
And where does that biology come from?
Nature.
But how is so it just come? Are you saying it comes from nothing then?
Are you driving, by the way?
No, I'm not. I'm in a car. I'm not moving.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Sorry, ask that question again.
So our sense of morality, our sense of right and wrong, and how we act comes strictly from nature is what you're saying?
Like descriptively speaking, yeah, nature allows us for us to have these different types of attributes like rationality, intelligence, right, empathy, things like that, right? But that doesn't mean that nature in of itself, like what animals do in nature or something like that, determines what we should do, right? It just means in a descriptive sense, right? These are faculties that were necessary to reach this point.
Okay, so if in your eyes, if there's no God, if there's no higher being, then there, like, you can be gay if you want. Like, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. If you believe that, like, we're not living for anything and we're just flesh, then I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise.
We're not living for anything? What do you mean?
Like, if you think we're just, like, matter existing, then there's really no reason to have this conversation.
That's not like living for nothing, though.
I mean, It kind of is, because what are you living for then?
Well, because you'd be living for like your own purposes that you'd identify for your life, your own desires, preferences, right? Other people around you, your family.
I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, I go back to what I said is I'm not going to try to go into that. But next person can go. I wish them luck.
Okay, why did he leave? All right. Well, I mean, we could have just debated on the notion of God, but let's go to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree. We're just looking for some debates, everyone. Just looking for some debates, y'all.
What's up?
Lydia, I appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much, Lydia. I'm literally on my second. You did not need to do that, Lydia. Appreciate it, though. What's up? How old are you?
39, 1984.
For sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Yeah, actually, I think it does. In a sense, like I said, I don't like trying to go with, I don't like trying to be all biblical about shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to have real conversations without actually trying to put God in it. But if you want to throw God in the mix, it's okay. Now, the only reason why I say it's kind of wrong, and from a biblical standpoint of view, right? All right, so let's take it to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? You know that place was very vile. A lot of bad stuff was going on there, from prostitution, from same sex going on and all that stuff. Now, what happened was that God sent two of his angels there to go get Lot and his family, right? And God destroyed that city because of what was going on there. So there was so much immorality going on in that city.
Because of what immorality?
Oh, I just said it. Everything that was going on around there, you had
no. Thank you for the
people
James. I appreciate
having
the subscription. Thank you so much. It was because of the gang rape in that particular area.
Not only that, it wasn't only just because of gang rape. There was
say grape.
Yeah, but I'm saying there was.
By the way,
No, well, you know that. Yeah, let's not go there.
Hey.
I'm listening.
You have to say grape, R word or essay. It's TikTok TOS.
Well, I yeah, I guess you're right, because I'm living in a new reality. This reality is not mine, because where I come from, we could say whatever the fuck we want. But excuse my language. Now, for that word, there was so much of that word going on. There was so much same sex going on. They even wanted to grape the angels. They wanted to grape them. I said grape.
Hold
I
up,
didn't say the other word.
Hold up. Something like dropped in my apartment. I need to check real quick. Give me 1 second.
Like, I'm not here. Like I said, I'm not here to hate on nobody. And I see you guys are still listening and watch. Look, I have no problem with the gay community at all, because right now I have a 19.
So what were you saying? What were you saying?
Oh, I'm just saying that everything that happened, that they wanted to grape the angels as well. The two angels that God sent there to go get Lot and his family. All right, that city was meant to be
Genesis
destroyed.
18 and 19 only mentions the gang rape, not like the posted sins that you are referencing.
But I'm pretty sure there was more going on in there than just that.
Give me a verse that references that.
I don't read the Bible, guy. It's not that I don't want to or I can't. It's just not one of those things that I like to do. And it's not saying that I can't read.
I don't like to do it either. I don't blame you for that, right? But I'm telling you what the text says, and if your belief is based upon the text, well, then you have to say what the text references.
I know, but what I'm saying is,
I don't like reading it either. I think it's
boring. Yeah. No, it's not for me. It's not that it's boring. It's just for me. It's more of what would happen if I were to gain all that knowledge and try to share that knowledge. Would I look foolish, or would I be like right in my stance point of views? All I'm just saying is that it was only immoral at that time, in those times, because there was. I think that's how like mainly it really happened. There was more than just gang grape, right? You know what I'm saying? There was more going.
Where in the Bible it says that? If you're referencing the story from the Bible, that's where you get the story from, though. So like,
all right, yeah, I get this. I get you on that. That's where the story comes from. But remember, I said I didn't want to always make it only about just the Bible, right? I just want to have a simple conversation where we share knowledge, or even our opinions or thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I have no problem with people being gay. my son is gay. I don't. At first, I had a problem with it because I never thought it would happen to me or happen, to the case that I would be in that situation. But I fully understand why you guys be the way you are. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's nature. What I'm saying is,
You
I heard
guys?
you say, I heard you earlier when you were speaking to Omar. I was kind of like drifting off, but I heard you say that it was a preference of yours, correct?
What's a preference of mine?
Of being gay, or you said,
I'm
or
not
he
gay.
said something, about it,
It was
something
about
about
morality. We were talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
morality,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Look,
not gay myself.
if you're gay, then that's your forte. What I'm saying
I'm
is
not.
just it's wrong. No, not saying you. I'm saying in general. Like,
Okay.
I didn't. If you took it the wrong way, my bad. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't mainly calling you out on that, like saying you're gay. You know what I mean? I'm just saying in general. I
Well, I
accept
mean,
my kid.
you did say like you guys, like, so
Like,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what I mean, but
Definitely
it's
implicated
not
it.
to it's really not to sit here and throw it out on a specific group. You know what I mean? So that's my fault because sometimes we say things and we don't really we know what we're trying to say, but sometimes it just comes out wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying. Like I said, I got no problem with the gay community. My only problem with that fact is for me, it kind of goes against nature because from the beginning, it was always supposed to be man and woman.
But that's because of your belief in God, okay? So
No,
for
that's just my actual scientific point of view. Like,
no,
as far as God
nature,
goes,
first of all, what's ever natural does not determine what we should do, right? It's not natural for you to be on your phone talking to me right now. Okay? That doesn't mean it's
yeah,
wrong to do it.
well, I mean, driving and talking on your phone is wrong. Now that's wrong.
I'm confused.
Talking and
Again,
driving.
I'm talking about you right now just on this. Are you driving?
No, actually,
Okay,
that's just my fan.
So no, clearly not. So like again, right, the point is that you talking to me right now isn't wrong, right?
No, because you know why? Because you're an individual. You're a human being. You're a human. I'm a human. We're
But
having
this
a
isn't
human.
natural to do it over the phone.
Well, I mean, it would be the same thing if you were having a conversation with somebody face to face, except you're sitting across from each other and you're not sitting
But
here
it's not
holding a phone in
natural.
ear.
But it's not natural.
What, being on the phone talking with somebody?
Yeah. And remember, you're saying that like if something is not natural, it's wrong, right?
If it goes against nature, it is wrong.
Okay, well this goes against nature.
So all right. From my understanding, because like I said, I don't like reading the Bible because who knows? Supposedly King James wrote the fucking Bible of demonology before the Holy Bible was written. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like there's two sides of the spectrum here. So what's evil? What's good? Most people would consider evil good and good evil. I think there's a lot of ass backwardness here. Not in this, and not specifically in this conversation or in this room, but I'm talking about in the world. I think a lot of people are just being deceived. It starts with a feeling, and then that feeling turns into something else. Did I have a problem with it at first that my son was gay? Yes. And the reason why that was because I felt like God was punishing me. Because I used to use the word, and sorry, I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to say it. I used to use the word agate a lot. You know what I mean? Agate, and I was one of those people. Yes, I was, and I can sit here and admit that because as a man, I will take acknowledgement of my faults.
Bro, actually so like, dude, I can't believe it, man. Like it. Oh my god, bro.
But see, what transpired back then to what now is different, right? I'm not sitting here arguing with you. I'm not sitting here throwing it in your face like, oh, Jesus said it's wrong for you to butt plug somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Because if you want to be gay, that's on you. What I'm saying is just don't the reason why it's wrong is because, and if you don't believe me, I think putting books, sexual riveting books for children in schools, that's wrong. That's a
that has
little
nothing to
immoral.
do
They're
with that has
young.
nothing to do with gay people, right? So like when we're talking about whether or
Okay,
not
if it has nothing to do with gay people, right? You say it has nothing to do with gay people, right?
clearly has nothing to do with gay people, right? Whether or not there's
All right,
something
would you consider a
sexual
trans
shown
gay?
can be No, someone who's trans isn't necessarily gay, right? And also, right, again, just because whether or not it be someone who's trans, whether or not it be someone who's gay, whether or not it be someone straight, it is not necessarily sexual just by nature of them being gay, trans, or straight. Okay, it is sexual based upon the different types of actions that they engage in. So to attribute, right, just particularly like sexually explicit things with like gay or trans people, when specifically it can happen with gay, trans, or straight individuals, right, then it doesn't make any sense.
I'm not trying to be all out. I think it's just because I'm actually like in an enclosed room. That's why it sounds so loud. You know, the acoustics.
What did I just say to you?
No, I was reading that because she said I was being too
No,
loud.
what did I just say?
Well, say that again.
So you didn't listen?
No, I didn't hear what you were saying because there's so much fucking noise. Oh, my bad. Swearing again. Because there's so much noise going on in here in this room. And the fact that I was just veered off for a second to read a comment right there. But go ahead, go back to that and I'll answer your question.
So it is not on the basis of them being trans, gay, or straight that something is particularly sexually explicit. That would be based upon the actions. So it's to attribute, right, the entirety, right, of like pushing things that are sexual in children to like gay or trans individuals makes no sense because it's not off the basis or the characteristic of them being gay or trans. Right. It would only be you're critiquing the characteristic of sexually explicit things, which happens with straight individuals too. And actually, right, there's sexually explicit things within the Bible, right? So are you okay with banning the Bible within public schools because there's sexually explicit things within the Bible?
I think for them to take God out of the school and people's right to actually read a Bible in school is wrong.
But there's sexually explicit stuff in the Bible.
Yeah.
Have you read the Bible? There's sexually explicit stuff in there. You're letting children read that sexually explicit stuff?
No, because for one, nobody in my house really reads the Bible. I own a Bible, but I don't read it. Again, I'm not saying because, you know, like I said, people would actually use. I'm not a religious person. I'm really not. You know what I'm saying? I don't follow religion because it's man-made and who knows what kind of crap they're putting in your head. Correct.
Well,
so
I mean, yeah. So then why do we believe in God?
All right, we believe in God because there's a thing. How do I say? There is a need for us to actually believe in something higher than us because it's a part of nature, basically saying that, yo, hey, you know, if this guy created us in his image and we came from dirt or mud or whatever it's called, you know, we were created that way. So it's basically when people say, hey, God created everything in the universe. OK, at that very moment, when you grow up learning that or hearing that, then that's that thing of having the need of having a higher power in your life. So that way you can consult not only with yourself, but with.
You're just saying that you have like a feeling. You have a feeling that you want a higher power to exist. And I have a feeling that I want to be a Pokemon master when I die. And I want to beat the Elite Four and win all the gym badges and beat the Kanto region.
Who says you can't?
So and who says you can't? So you know real. When I die, I'm gonna be a Pokemon master. So real.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? Like, all right. When they say, okay, death is just death. No, you know, when you die, you have a new beginning. This is how I look at it. Death isn't the end. So let's just say before you die, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to be a Pokemon master with all the badges. And in your next life, look what can happen. You can actually be a Pokemon master. Because there are no coincidences, my friend. And there's also saying, hey, you know, anything in the world is possible if you put your mind to it. Right. So
gotta
basically
catch 'em all.
Right.
I'm feeling it already, man. I'm feeling it.
You know what
already.
I'm saying? So it's like saying like, all right, when you speak of stuff like that, you want to speak that into existence. It's more like manifestations. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be believe it or not, I wanted to be a porn star a long time ago, but you know, I ain't got the body for that.
You gotta say corn, but
all right, porn star. Sorry, my bad.
TikTok, no, it's fine. TikTok has like their little terms of service stuff, but dude, like, do we not see this to be absurd at all, man? Like, let's be totally real. Like me believing that I'm gonna be a Pokemon master when I die, me believing that I'm gonna be in a world like in Bikini Bottom with SpongeBob and Patrick just vibing. Right, like I don't think that these things are corresponding to reality at all, right? Because they have no evidence for these different types of assertions.
Right, but in your mind, it's all a reality.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that
You
any claim
create
that
the
I make is
reality
just
around
as
you.
wait, that is okay, so essentially your view here is that no claims are more valid than others.
No, because I feel like everybody experiences something like this in their life, regardless if it's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. You all experience it regardless of what. You know what I'm saying? And God, you know what? I'm gonna sit here and say about God. God doesn't hate gay people. God doesn't despise gay people because again, he didn't make all right. I think when people get the notion of God created everything perfectly, no, God created us uniquely to bring something unique to the earth. We're not perfect beings. There was only one perfect being in this world. Only one. None of us can be perfect, regardless of what, no matter how many times we're all going to fall short of the grace of God. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, bi, trans, we're all going to fall short. It doesn't mean that he don't forgive you. You know what I'm saying? God loves you regardless if you're gay or not.
Does God love Hitler?
Regardless of what, whether Hitler was an evil man or not, God, he was still a part of God's creation. You know what I'm saying?
So God loves him?
God loves everyone. God loves everyone. He just hates to see people. The thing is, God just hates to see people going the wrong way. That's all it is. If he said, hey, you have free will to do this, but if you're going to have free will to do something, at least do the righteous thing with your free will. It doesn't mean, hey, if you want to engage in actual coercion, do you understand what I'm saying, right? Like with another person of the same X, it's not. I don't think God is going to hate you for that. God made everybody the way they are. There
Yeah,
are
I
no.
don't I don't think God can hate things because I don't think that this God is going to exist, right? And I think that we can posit many logical contradictions with a particular belief. Would you like to go through some of them?
God doesn't hate nobody, man. I gotta be honest with you. If that was the case, God would not want anything to do with me. God would have took me off this earth a long time ago, especially for all the immoral things that I've done.
So
You know,
I don't think that we have good reason to believe that this God exists because of these different types of contradictions. Like, for example, right? Do you think that God is perfect?
I think Jesus was perfect. Not saying, all right, if God is a king, right? They say God is a king that lives in a kingdom in heaven, correct? God is the king. His son Jesus is just the secondary to the throne. Let's just say God. I don't just like any king on earth, right? Any king on earth had their bad moments, had their good moments. Give back to the people, take from people, take from other people. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like the same thing. Like I'm not, like I said, God knows my heart. And if you have a good heart, because you're not being judged off of being gay, my friend, you're not, or anybody. Ain't nobody being judged off of being gay. What they are being judged off is
Hold up.
by the
Let's
heart.
go to this. Let's go to this point. Is God perfect?
God is for me, God is perfect only due to the fact that we're here.
Okay, so
We're
if
here.
we didn't exist, God wouldn't be perfect.
I still would think that God is perfect because if we weren't here, there would have been another creation in our place.
Okay, even with so God without there being creation, like prior to creating anything, was he perfect?
Well, let's see. I mean, in heaven's eyes, because before anything happened down here, everything happened up there. God was perfect. He made perfect angels. The only problem was that there was one person who wanted to be above him who got daddy issues.
So God was perfect even before creating anything.
Regardless of what, God has always been perfect. His creation was
Okay.
perfect.
So that's my point. So is for example, right? Given a perfect test taker, what would you expect to see?
I wouldn't expect for me. I don't. People expect perfection. You can't be perfect. Me, when somebody,
I'm
when it comes
asking
to a
you
test,
a perfect test taker. What do you expect to see?
oh, good scores.
Like perfect scores, right?
Not perfect, but good, because at least you're trying your best.
No, a perfect test taker.
A
Okay.
perfect test taker? Well, if you're talking as far as being a perfect test taker, then of course that perfect test taker has to make the test perfect.
Yeah, it has perfect scores, right?
Right.
Perfect free throw shooter. What do you expect to see?
Maybe 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 free throws. Perfect creator. What do you expect to see?
A perfect creation.
Exactly, right? So do we exist in a perfect creation?
We do, but as far as, we live, Earth is perfect. The creation has been perfect. What makes it imperfect?
So the Holocaust happening is perfect?
No, that was just somebody who basically went against their own moral values. Oh,
Okay, so
because
the
you wanted
Holocaust
world
happening was
power.
not perfect. Therefore, the Earth overall clearly is not perfect, as it would have a flaw, right? Therefore, right, creation would be considered imperfect, right? So if we would expect to see like a perfect creation from a perfect creator, and we don't exist in a perfect creation or a perfect world, that tells us that we don't have a perfect creator.
Okay, so let's take it back to the Garden of Eden, right? When God created the Garden of Eden and all that stuff, right? He did it in 7 days, whatever the case may be. It was perfect then. Like I said, the only thing that made it imperfect was the fact that this guy, Mr. Daddy Issues, sat there and literally got into the head of Eve and made her bite the fruit. We don't know specifically what kind of fruit it was. It was just a fruit. Okay. I'm just saying it made everything it made everything imperfect after that, because when God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden, that's when all this shit started happening. We had a perfect creation. We had animals that were all getting along with each other. You know what I'm saying? It was one whole perfect creation. The problem that happened was Satan or Lucifer, or whatever you want to call him. He messed up. Basically, all right, did you see that movie
Satan
Nefarious
perfect?
yet?
Is Satan
Yeah.
perfect?
Did you see the movie Nefarious yet?
No, I haven't. Is Satan
Okay.
perfect?
Does it seem perfect now? No, it doesn't, because of everything.
No. It does it seem. Is Satan perfect?
In he was perfect in God's eyes because he was his very first angel. He was the perfect. I could say he was the most perfect, beautiful creation God ever made until he did what he did. So God needed people to be like, okay, y'all don't want to worship me. I'm gonna make a. I'm gonna make a.
Before we do, I want to get this point through, right? So, if something is perfect, can it be corrupted? Right? Like if God is perfect, if Jesus is perfect, can Jesus be corrupted?
I don't think Jesus could be corrupted only due to the fact that he had supernatural power.
So he's perfect.
Jesus was perfect.
Yeah, so because he's perfect, he cannot be corrupted. So because he's perfect, he can't be corrupted. If Satan was actually perfect,
almost corrupted.
Satan would have never been corrupted. There would have been no one to corrupt Satan.
Jesus was almost corrupted in the wilderness, them 40 days and 40 nights.
But it would have never happened. It would have never happened, right?
Exactly, but the reason why it never happened is because Jesus had supernatural powers.
Again, when you have those supernatural powers also exist with Satan.
True. Yes. And you know what? Wholeheartedly, I give you that. Yes. Which is why do you think that Satan comes after the saints, or he comes after people instead of his own kind? Because he knows that we have supernatural gifts. They're just tucked so far away that we don't even remember them. Remember, God said, before you were on this earth, I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. He knows every hair on your head, you know? So basically, God knew what you were going to be when you were in the womb and when you came out of the womb. He already knew. He basically, again, it doesn't matter if you're gay. It doesn't matter that God doesn't like sin, but still, he's not going to judge you based off the sin. He's going to judge you based off your heart. Because regardless of what, like when I look at you, Parker,
you're answering things I'm not asking. I'm gonna be totally real with you. Right? I'm asking you very, very particular questions, and you're.
I'm not religious. I just believe. There's a difference between being a believer.
I've never said you were religious right now.
No. I'm talking about somebody that said something in the comments.
Why are you responding to questions? What did I just say to you?
Hey man, we're just having the conversation. You were actually pretty quiet right now until I started talking.
Because you constantly are not answering questions that I'm asking. Right, I'm asking you specific questions. And you're rambling about comments. You're rambling about things that don't relate to my question. Like I'm asking
what's your question
very
again?
Specific things. Right?
Okay, so ask your specific question.
Yeah, if Satan is corrupted, right? I mean, if Satan is perfect, how can he be corrupted?
Because he was all right. Satan got jealous. That's what happened. He wanted people to worship him like they were worshiping God. So being a
Is
perfect
jealousy a
creation.
flaw?
Yes, actually it
If
is.
jealousy is a flaw and Satan is perfect, Satan is flawless, that would be a contradiction. Satan can't
No,
be
he's
flawless and be flawed
all right. See, but
simultaneously.
you have to look at both sides of the spectrum here. Before he was even bad, he was good.
Yeah, that's the whole point I'm saying is that he would have never been bad if he was perfect.
Yeah, but I'm saying what happened was his, what's that word I'm looking for? His vanity, the thing, because he was so full of himself. You know what I'm saying? He was so full of himself that, he went from being the perfect creating or creation, one of the perfect creations, to being this diabolical person, which now brings me to the point where that regardless if a person is perfect or not, I think like I said, the only person that can't be corrupted is Jesus. Everybody else in the world can be
Because he's
corrupted.
perfect, okay? So everyone else is imperfect. This tells us again that there's an issue, right? If
We're
we
all
expect a
imperfect.
perfect creation, perfect imperfect creation. There you go. Right? If we expect a perfect creation given a perfect creator and we are imperfect, then that tells us that we do not have a perfect creator.
No, what I'm saying
What do
is
you dispute with that?
we're
What do you
not
dispute with
perfect. You're
that?
right. You know what? You're right. We're not perfect, but we're unique. Which is what I said
What
earlier.
do you dispute with what I said though? Because again, you told me that given a perfect creator, you expect to see a perfect creation.
Yeah, I see regardless of how the world looks or how people look, regardless of what, I still see perfection. Because
No,
without
you don't, because God sees flaws in sin. I appreciate Ash. Thank you for the hand art. Thank you so much. And the
that was pretty
flaws in
cool.
sin are imperfection.
Do I think flaws and sins are imperfection?
Yes, they clearly are under your view. It doesn't matter whether or not you think that under your view that's true.
No, what I said was that you're not gonna be based off your sin. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of what, you're only being judged by your heart. It doesn't matter if a person is perfect or not.
Yeah, no, again, what matters is what's it logically entailed given that we have a perfect creator. A perfect
Well, as
creator
far the
logically
only reason
entails.
why we have a perfect creator is because of look at what he created,
Well,
right?
listen,
It
listen,
wasn't it
listen,
wasn't
listen,
God.
listen,
It
listen,
wasn't
listen,
God
listen,
that made this
listen,
place
listen.
fucked up. Excuse my language.
Yeah, it actually literally was, right? Because again, if it was perfect, it could never be corrupted. So if anything that God makes is perfect, there's no chance for corruption. If there was corruption, then there is not a God that's perfect. Okay?
So how about you said I heard you earlier say that God is all knowing, correct?
I
Or
don't
were you
believe God
asking?
is all knowing. I was asking other people if that's their
Okay,
view.
okay. So all right, in my opinion on this, like, okay, if God is all knowing, he would have known that the events of what happened in the garden were going to happen. The same thing that everything that's happening today, he already knew was going to happen. He knew that people were going to be gay, trans, bipolar, sexual polar, whatever you want to call it. I'm just making up words right now. But as far as that, it doesn't, it really doesn't matter. Regardless of what, because when I look at you, I see uniqueness. I don't see perfection because you, me, or the lady down the street from my house are not perfect. We're just unique. Okay. The only reason why the creation of the garden was perfect and this is still perfect is because of I'm looking at it from my point of view that regardless of what, the creation is perfect because I'm living in this creation. I'm still breathing. I'm still living.
Okay, so it's imperfect, but it's perfect.
It's imperfect in others' views. In my eyes, just in my eyes alone, regardless of what, it's perfect.
Okay, so it's imperfect in God's view, right?
It's imperfect to everyone else. I never said it was imperfect to God.
Is it imperfect to God?
No, he still believe. You know what? Believe it or not, like I don't know God like on a personal level, but I would think that he still thinks that this creation is still perfect, regardless of what. It's gonna take people. It's gonna take people, and from what I know, it's either 5% or 10% of people that are gonna make the change to this world. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Believe it or not, I believe that regardless of what, because coming from my own eyes, this creation is perfect. You're unique. The other people in this stream, we're all unique. We were made to bring something unique to this earth, whether you're gay, trans, or not.
Okay, that's irregardless of what God sees as perfect. Okay, if God sees sin as imperfect and every single being on the planet except for him sins, that means every single being on the planet except for him is imperfect, right? But then that results to an issue here because a perfect creation we've already established, or a perfect creator means a perfect creation. Okay, so if it's logically entailed that there's a perfect creation given a perfect creator, well then you're just going to reject the notion that there's a perfect creator because again we see that our existence is not perfect within the sense of God, not within my view, not within my opinion, within God's opinion.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How many people on this live right now can say that they're perfect?
No one.
Or believe in some sort of sense that they're perfect or can be
everyone
perfected.
can believe that they're perfect, right? But under my view, no one is perfect in here.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is when it comes to your morale, you're going to automatically say to yourself, I am perfect.
No, it's not. I really don't think I'm perfect.
No, I'm not perfect either. Brother, I just said you're unique. You're a unique person. You have a lot on your mind. You have a great heart. You do. And I'm looking right at you because I'm looking dead in your eyes, even though you can't see me. But I'm looking you dead in your eyes, man. And I can see you have a good soul. You do. And I know what you're doing here. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to, for me, I feel like what you're doing here on this live is trying to coexist. It is not trying to have a debate. You're just trying to coexist and find a medium. Because I think straights and gays can coexist. It's all about just the boundary of things. Some people don't like it, some people do, but if you can come together in a coexistence, then who says that can't be perfect? Right?
So again, when we're talking about the notion of perfect, it's defined literally in the Bible as flawless, right? We know what God considers as flaws, right? So we have the ability to initiate this critique because we have knowledge of these different factors, okay? So clearly speaking, we can demonstrate that this God doesn't exist based upon its own notions of perfection.
Okay, well, exist to who though?
Anyone. It's logically contradictory. Can't possibly exist.
Well, it all, like, again, it always just stems from what you believe in, At the end of everything, your belief system is what makes what's going to happen come around full circle, what you believe in. Yeah, I believe that there is a God. I do believe that he was perfect, but had, all right. So this is what I will say. God was perfect, but he had a side to him that was, how do I say, the old commandment gods, the old 10 commandments, God, follow my 10 commandments or you gonna get effed. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he's just
God
a little bit narcissistic, a little bit manipulative,
Well, I wouldn't say narcissistic or manipulative.
Just a little bit.
I would just say
slavery.
For me, it's just, for him, it's you can either I already know, like, it seems like okay, all right, before I get into that, there's a saying that my father used to say, I rather what you mean? I rather rule in hell than to serve in heaven. You know what I'm saying? So not me. I rather be somewhere where it's, I think without violence in the world, we wouldn't be able to find a coexistence.
I'm sorry. Why would you rather rule in hell than serve in heaven?
That's what I'm saying, and it didn't make sense to me either. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's like incoherent.
You know what I'm saying? Like my family.
There's nothing to rule in heaven because again, there's literally it's just eternal conscious torment under people's views.
Look, all right. So here's the thing, right? I grew up. I grew up Pentecostal. I left the church because I felt like what they were teaching was a little inaccurate. And it's not that, you'll know if it's real or you feel something for it when you feel it in your chest. if you feel like something's wrong, do you not get that notion that something's wrong?
Yeah,
Like
it's
instead,
called a moral intuition.
right. So if they be like, oh, hey, if you feel something's wrong, you're not going to go right. You're going to go left. So, I'm just saying in general that, I'm not trying to weaponize the Bible here, nor am I trying to be a hateful or spiteful person towards what this is, because like I said, we're having a conversation and I like the way it's going right now because, I respect you. Hopefully you respect me as an individual because I respect everyone as individuals. It doesn't matter whether you're man, lady, kid, child, dog, you know.
Sure. So okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to go over or talk about then?
No, you know what? I'm actually glad that we had this talk because I remember the last time I was in here, I kind of messed up and, I got booted from your room. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to argue with nobody, nor am I trying to do it, make it seem like somebody else is wrong compared to my thoughts or my opinions or whatever, because at the end of the day, it's just opinions and thoughts. I just, I like having these kind of conversations because at least people's point of view. I understand your point of view. I listened to everything you said. I like people you got a lot of people in here. You know what I'm saying? I love every single one of y'all too, regardless of what. I love you, bro. I love you. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to know that I love you, and the reason why I love you is because that is my mission on this earth, just to be loved, to give love, to spread love.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
peace, light, and love, man. Peace, light, and love.
Absolutely, for sure, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It was good talking to you, man. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Have a good day.
You as well. All right, everyone. If you like the content, make sure to follow me if you've already. Tap that screen if you want to see some debates, everyone. Let's try to get to 500,000 likes, everyone. By the way, everyone, we have been suspended on the main account until the 22nd is when I come back. So make sure to look out for that, everyone. We should be back on the 22nd. To be doing debates on the main account again. If you haven't followed me here yet, make sure to follow me. This is where I'm going to be until then. And this is where I go whenever I do get bananaed and suspended and stuff like that. Apparently it was for misinformation. I don't know why, but thank you for that mustache. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let me go on to the next person. Again, if you like the content, follow me if you haven't already, everyone. Let me go on to the next person, though. Again, only send a guest request if you do disagree, everyone. Okay, didn't accept that person. Let me try the next. Yo, thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to the next person, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Oh, they're not here. Great. All right, let's go to the next person. Only send a guest request if you disagree, everyone. Again, just looking for some debates, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Hello? Okay, this person's not here either. Only send a guest request if you disagree, everyone. Just looking for some debates. Okay, for some reason, it's not accepting that person. Let me try the next. Again, only send a request if you disagree, everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hi, I'm 66.
For sure. Do you think that being gay is wrong or immoral?
Honey, it's something I don't.
You're cutting out. You paused, by the way. Hello? Okay, I think they just dipped everyone. In the meantime, everyone tap that screen. God might have raptured her. So just give him a second, everyone. I don't know. Hopefully not a false alarm. Hopefully not a false alarm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do hear you.
Oh, okay. There's a scripture that says that 7 things God hates the most, and it's nothing to do with being gay or being immoral or like addictions. Like, I smoke. I know I shouldn't. It's more like backbiting, hurting your brother, hurting someone's reputation, that kind of thing. I think that the public as a whole, just because of the the hatred that went along with being gay over the years. And I might be in 66. I remember such animosity and stuff. And I feel like that it's just pretty much been groomed to feel that. And it's just like,
You think gay people are groomed into being gay?
no, no. I said the people that are judging,
Oh, people who are
the
judging.
people that
Okay,
are
for sure.
gay have been groomed by society. And there's so many people who want to say it's wrong, but being gay is no less wrong than having a second portion of a chocolate pie. You know, I mean, as far as if you want to look at it from God's view,
So,
because sin is sin.
yeah, do you think that engaging in gay intercourse is wrong?
Well, for me personally, which is all that I can speak for, it is definitely wrong. I don't. Even when I was young, I had no desire for it, and so it would not have been natural for me. So for me, it would have been wrong. It would have felt wrong.
No. I'm just saying, is it wrong for two people to engage in like intercourse generally?
Well, I mean, isn't that what being gay is? You know, I mean, like I said, it's not for us to judge because people are so quick to bring scripture and the Lord into it, and they need to stop and realize that there's a whole lot worse things that He can deal with. You know, that He would. I'm sure He wishes that the people that are so judgmental would get right, and that would be to stop being judgmental, for one thing, stop being hateful. Um, you know, you can say all day, love your neighbor. You know, that's the biggest thing that we're supposed to do, but that's often the hardest.
Yeah, so how do we know that God exists in order to say that being like engaging in gay intercourse would be wrong?
Well, you know, for me, there's there's a lot of proof in that God exists. You know, I watch you quite a bit, Parker, but I have not been on TikTok that long, and I don't write very much in the text field because I'm so slow, half blind, but yeah, the if you would have time, I would like to share with you some evidence that I feel like presents the fact that God exists,
And what would that
and
be?
maybe, well, you know, when you look at the book of Genesis, number one, well, at first there's scripture in Isaiah and I believe Ezekiel and even in Matthew where it says, "Oh, Lucifer, son of the morning, you were created to be." He was created to be so beautiful and over the music ministry, he's so perfect. And then and along with him was 1/3 of the created angelic beings, and there was like a coup d'état in heaven. It wasn't just I thought I'm going to be like God, and then all of a sudden God takes and slams him out of heaven, and to what? Nowhere? No, there is a pre-existing earth before this earth was ever created, and that's where he sent Satan. And the perfection question about being perfect, God did create a perfect world. And in the book of Genesis, now you can see that, and that there was. It tells you in the first chapter of Genesis that He didn't do it once; He did it twice. I mean, the very first time He spoke it into being. He made man and woman, spoke them into being, made them the same time. And then when you go on to read chapter 2, it tells how that He formed everything. He formed creation. He formed
How did he form?
animals
How did he form
out
Eve?
of dirt with a rib.
Why
And
why
see
did
that?
why didn't he form Eve the same way he formed Adam?
Well, there's a lot that comes with just speculation because the truths aren't in there. Apparently, it's not necessary for us to know. However, it was with perfectly imperfect perfection. I would
That sounds
venture to
like a
say,
contradiction to me.
well, no,
Perfectly
because
imperfect?
perfection. Because if I could choose to have everything perfect on the moral platitude that I would choose, and people weren't given choices, because everybody was going to do and say and be perfect according to my guys, then it just wouldn't be perfect. To me, that would be imperfect because there would be no. And what would be the reason to even do something like that? It would be if you say perfectly imperfect. That's like saying I'm going to step out on a whim here. I'm going to give these choices. Not to say every created being had a choice, but we know that a third of the created beings had choices. We know that, and
Yeah, so saying perfectly imperfect is like the same thing as saying directly indirect.
well, yeah, we can get caught up in that. Maybe I was just saying. Maybe that was just like I said. I'm not. I don't have a degree or anything. I'm not. To me, that's just. It would be imperfect to make the decision to give someone a wide array of choices, or your choices are your choices. They're yours. They belong to you. And the Bible teaches that in the very first creation. I mean, this is not a real popular viewpoint, I'm sure, and I've never actually really even heard anybody talk about it. But the thing is, um, if you read it close in Genesis, you do see that there was two different creations. The first one he spoke into being. The second one so it'd be like a Luciferian flood. And why would he flood? Well, because that particular
Actually, technically,
creation.
yes, there is two different creations that does exist, but it's about which
You
one
heard
you would
that before? Well,
accept.
good.
No, well, I mean, yeah, Genesis does actually give an account for like creating Adam before the different beings and
Yes.
stuff like that, and then another one would be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
after. So that is like consensus.
Okay, well then that makes me feel better. So here's the thing. Whenever he made the earth, if you think about it, when he put firmament or air between all, when he originally made the earth, created the earth from nothing, and he spoke everything into being, there would have been like a core of probably ice because it's so far out, and then all the way around the air, where the birds fly. And you know what a terrarium is? Have you seen?
Yeah.
Have you ever had it? Okay, well, that's like a perfect environment. Everything in a terrarium just
Like
lives.
it's meant to self-sustain. So
Yes, exactly.
self-sustaining doesn't necessarily mean perfect, but yes,
No,
it can sustain itself for a long time.
yes. Well, that's exactly. If you read it real close, you'll see that that's exactly how he created the earth, and therefore, I mean, it would be kind of